Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass live and in living color here with you tonight, only on Grande's Graveyard. And yes, my friends, tonight we do it. Tonight we cross a bridge that I never thought that I would cross in the history of Grande's Graveyard. Of course, last year on the 4th of July weekend, I counted down my top 10 favorite, my all-time favorite Twilight Zone episodes. So about a year removed from that, yeah, it's the time. It is the top 10 worst Twilight Zone episodes of all time. I broke out the Holy Grail, the Holy Bible, the wonderful Blu-ray complete series, collector's edition of the Twilight Zone, and out of 156 episodes, I had to narrow it down to the bottom 10 worst. And yes, it was a challenge because let's face it, this is my all-time favorite show. This is the show that, listen, if somebody said let any show you'd recommend, the Twilight Zone is always going to be my first answer. And there's so many shows that I love amongst the horror genre and sci-fi genre, but none of them quite hit the same and as close to the heart as the Twilight Zone does. So to single out the worst of the show that I consider the best, this was a real challenge and a real kind of, struggle, if you will, and it was a lot of fun. But I think tonight we'll have some fun conversations and talk about some of the worst of the best, if you will, the worst episodes of the best TV show of all time. I'm very excited here to have you here all tonight, and of course, let's see what y'all have to say in the chat before we get into the top 10 worst Twilight Zone episodes. We had Miss C before we even went live. Ciao, Grande and Graveyardian friends. Welcome, Miss C. Hope all is well with you. It's time to get into the zone with the Twilight Zone. Yes, I'm stoked. I don't know about you. I watched 10 horrible episodes of this show in order to prepare for it, so I'm very much looking forward to talking about it with y'all tonight. Meet John Grande, a cemetery man who willingly sat through garbage for our amusement, a man who just crossed over into the shit dimension of the Twilight Zone. All missing is a little bit of a cigarette that Rod Serling would be smoking. Rod was a fellow New Yorker. Rod was a Binghamton guy, and they have the statue of Rod Serling outside in Binghamton when you go to the town. I've never been. I'd love to go. Me and Anthony, Fever Dreamland Theater, we've talked about it for years to finally just take the trip up there. It's about a 6-hour drive, so it's pretty deep. If Anthony's driving, I'm there. I will be the best co-pilot in the world, but I don't know if I want to drive 6 hours up to Binghamton to see a statue. Granted, it'd be really cool, but I don't know. Other than that, there's really not too much of an appeal or a draw to Binghamton. It's not like they have deep dish pizza or a cheese steak. They do have a mini Twilight Zone museum, but it's fairly, like, I know you could blow through it in like 10 minutes, which is kind of, I don't know. When I think Twilight Zone, I think of, let's get a museum going here, something grand, something like the Museum of Natural History or something. But like, no, they don't have any museum like that yet. A man can dream. People saying hi to one another. I put this up after I saw Arthur's. I thought this was pretty funny. Submitted for your approval, Mr. John Grande, age 29, occupation, torture. A man who has suffered through the worst of his favorite show for your entertainment. John thought the worst was over, but it's only the beginning. File this one under O for only on the graveyard in the Twilight Zone. Yes, we got your choice way better than mine. No, yours was killer, brother. Yours was killer. Spooky Girly Ghoul. That's a first-time name in Grande's Graveyard. Welcome, my friend. Hope all's well with you. Hi, Grande and Graveyardians. First time to the graveyard. Well, you already know to call us Graveyardians, so you can't be too much of a stranger. That's one of the stereotypes, I guess, with nicknames of the show. So happy to have you, Spooky Girly Ghoul. I hope you're having a nice day today. It just needs a little musical interlude. Yes, absolutely. Get into the zone, the graveyard zone. Instead of auto zone, it's get to the graveyard zone. That'd be awesome. People saying hi to one another. It's been hotter than Satan's asshole here the past couple of days. I feel like those people in Minnesota. I thought of that too. I thought of that because I'm watching all the zones this week, and I'm like, my goodness, it's basically the midnight sun. Because I went outside today for my lunch, and it said it was 99 degrees. And I was going to go on a walk. And I did. I still went on the walk. But my Lord, I was sweating like a whore in church. Like I was, oh my God, this was heat unimaginable. I believe it hit 100 degrees in Central Park, which is like the first time in years and years that it finally hit 100 degrees in Central Park. So that is something else. Ciao Grande, fun top 10 tonight. For me, the Mighty Casey, the Bard, and Mr. Garrity and the Graves are definitely my top 10. Hi to the whole chat. One of those is on my list. One of them. But a couple of those got off scot-free. I'll spoil right away. I love Mr. Garrity and the Graves. That's like one of the only comedy ones I really like. But I can see how you wouldn't, because it's definitely an acquired kind of comedy, and it's really, I don't know, I can see you not liking that one. But I don't know, for me, that one is kind of has a soft spot for sure. Anthony Chabot does Pop Cultures, JZ7JR. Hey, how you doing, buddy? By the way, saw Supergirl last night. It was okay. Next up, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Well, you got till the end of the month till you see that, so that's quite a ways away, Anthony, but I hope all is well with you, and I hope you're staying warm. I know, well, or cool, I should say, because it's damn warm in New York, and I know it's other places as well. 156, it's actually hard to find bad episodes. That's quality. Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that number, and I'm glad that you mentioned that particular comment, because I sat down last week and I said to myself, okay, which episodes before I make the top 10 worst list, because this is not something I had set in stone. I had maybe a bottom 5 set in stone, but a bottom 10 was tough for this show because, again, so many good episodes. And out of 156, that's a giant number. To only whittle it down to 10 is tough. But I sat down and I said, which episodes are average to below average? I sat down, I counted it out, and the number that was, I couldn't believe the number. Out of 156 episodes, the ones that I felt were average to bad to mad to terrible to whatever number one you'd call, 19 episodes I felt of the Twilight Zone are either average to below so. And that can, range and vary to horrible, to terrible, to shit, to average type of episodes. So out of 156, there's only 19 episodes of this entire show that I think are below average. Like, that's the amount of and that ratio, if you're thinking or to keeping track at home math, that's about one bad episode out of every 8. So of every 8 Twilight Zones, you're might going to get one that's average to below par. That's a really great ratio, considering, you had 30 episodes, I think 36 episodes the first season, 29 the second season. Only after every 8 are you getting one that may be of a lesser quality, at least in my opinion. And hey, you might be more lenient than I am. Maybe they're even less than 19 episodes that you feel are not good. So, it was fun to kind of sit there and talk it out, and then to whittle down the 19 to the bottom 10 worst was cool. This should be a fun episode. Ryan Hanley's in the house, and Hanley, brother, I don't know if you've seen this episode, but the episode I Dream of Jeannie, spoiler alert, it's on the bottom 10. The star is George Hanley. That's the character's name. And the whole episode, Mr. Hanley, Mr. Hanley, Mr. Hanley, like, they're tall. And I'm watching it. I'm like, poor fucking Ryan Hanley, man. Like, I wish there was a Twilight Zone where it was Mr. Grande, Mr. Grande. Like, there's no such thing. But the fact that there is one for Mr. Hanley, and the fact that it's I Dream of Jeannie, my goodness, like, I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, poor fucking Hanley, man. I was like, I don't know if you've seen that one, but I did think of you. I was like, my goodness, like, what a shitty hand he's been dealt here. Tom is here all the way from the Great White North. Hello, John and chat. I have some choices. Curious to see if they made it into your top 10 worst. Well, hey, yeah, and guys, by all means, you could share your top 10 worst with me as we go along here tonight. We're going to do something a little bit unique when I get through all the comments here. Greetings all. Speaking of the Great White North, it's a celebrity, because this woman was just featured in the New York Times. Michelle Parsons, all the way from Nova Scotia. Welcome, Michelle. Hope all is well with you. We got Dr. Howdy 6664. What's up, you sickos? As always, Grande 6 to midnight, seeing that beautiful chestnut hair. Oh, it's flowing. It's flowing. I was going to get my hair cut on Monday, and I went to the barber shop. I had a great night. I actually went to Huntington, saw The Lizard in a Woman's Skin on a big screen. Really, really, really cool to see that one in the movie theater. But my plan beforehand was to go straight from work to get my hair chopped. And I went, and the barber that I'm going to, the new barber, closed on Mondays. So I was like, all right, I'm keeping the flow. And then I said, fuck it. My favorite restaurant was right down the street. So I went, I crushed a steak, some potato croquettes, little Florinda Balkan joint. I mean, I had quite the Monday, if you will. There's our boy. Oh, yes. I'm here. I'm here from the fifth dimension. I know Cavender is coming, and I hate it. It should be. We'll get to Cavender's coming. Yeah, that's another spoiler, but yeah, that's on the list for sure. Did you review the tier list of the seasons to have an idea of work? So I did. I'm glad you mentioned that too, because there's a couple of episodes that I thought were going to make this list. Now, don't get me wrong. They didn't escape the bottom 19, the 19 that I still think are really bad episodes. However, they did escape the top 10 and top 10 worst. And there's one that I thought was a shoo-in for this list. And as I went through the episodes, I said, you know what? No, it's not. It's just not. It's not here. There's like one or two that I was shocked myself didn't make the list. So we'll get there. We will get there. How many of your bad episodes are from the last season? One. Just one. Just one. Isn't that crazy? So I can break it down for you a little bit easier here. First season has more than one that made the list. The second season got off scot-free. There's not a single episode from season 2 that made the bottom 10 worst. And I'm shocked because the thing about Machines I thought was a lock for this list. And as I went through these, as I rewatched these, I was like, you know what? It's bad, but at least it's entertaining to watch these machines try to murder this man. And then the whole ending and the fact that Stephen King has always cited that particular episode inspired him to write Christine. The whole idea of Christine comes from that episode at the end where the car is driving itself and drives him into the water and he kind of stays under on purpose, kills himself. That whole idea was taken from that particular episode. So at least something good came of that. And honestly, that's a big reason why it doesn't make the bottom 10. I was like, you know what? I could find a grace. I could find something here. I need to see that one. Yeah, good luck. I wish you the best of luck, buddy. I wish you the best of luck. What up? Is old Julius K. Moomer going to make an appearance? Oh, my God. Yes. Julius K. Moomer does make an appearance. He's in the bottom 5 or 4, I think. Yes, so stay tuned. Scratch Birdo 13. I'm glad to hear that. I would have had to put my boot up in your ass if you put the Invaders with us. No, I wouldn't put the Invaders. So, no, nothing like that. There's going to be none that are controversial. I don't think any of these are controversial. Like I would be shocked if somebody's like, how is this on your bottom 10? I don't think so. We're going to do something a little different tonight. So we're about 11 minutes in. I want to cheers to the greatest fans in the whole wide world. Cheers to a safe, happy, healthy weekend. And yeah, my friends, we're going to start something a little bit different here. Since it's the bottom 10 worst, I say we kick it off from number 1 and count our way down to 10. Let's start with the worst first. Let's kick this show off hot. Let's start it off with the only episode from season 5 to make the list. Yes, this is season 5, episode 27, directed by Richard Donner somehow, some way. Yes, Richard Donner of The Omen and Superman and The Goonies and how many great and really a lot better Twilight Zone episodes like Nightmare at 20,000 Feet or Come Wander With Me. I'm talking about this one right here and now. I'm talking about it. Sounds and Silences comes in at the number 1 worst Twilight Zone episode of all time. Brief plot synopsis. Retired Navy man and current model ship manufacturing company owner Roswell G. Flemington enjoys loud noises, is an annoyance to others, drives his wife to leave him, and is suitably punished with a full dose of irony. Yes, Sounds and Silences. Now, it had taken me years to see this episode because a common theme you'll see with my list is a majority of these rarely play on the 4th of July / New Year's Eve Twilight Zone marathons on Sci-Fi Channel or whatever respective channel you like to watch the marathons on. I know there's a couple. I know MeTV has done it. Movies have done it. There's several different channels that run their respective Twilight Zone marathons. But one that you did not see for years and years and years. In fact, I believe it was almost 20 years between its original air date and its re-air in 1984. And then it wasn't until about 2016 when the show did a complete marathon from episode 1 to 156 on the Sci-Fi Channel where it finally aired on television. And I stayed up, I will never forget it, just to see an episode I had never seen before of the show. I stayed up till all hours to watch Sounds and Silences on the Sci-Fi Channel Twilight Zone marathon, and my goodness, it was not worth staying up for. And now I'm sure you have questions. Well, why wasn't it aired? Was it not aired just because it's horrible? No. In fact, Rod Serling was sued over this episode. A writer had submitted a script called The Sound and Silence in 1961. Rod rejected it. Then a few years later, late 1963, he writes this script, Sounds and Silences, and the episode is, of course, made and airs in 1964. Rod is sued. The minute it airs, he has to pay up $3,500 to this guy. And the episode forever was put in a vault for about 20 years until 1984 when it aired. I think they did a silver anniversary of the Twilight Zone or something like that for the 25 years of the Twilight Zone. And it aired on TV then. And it didn't air from 1984 all the way to 2016. So really, really rare to see this one on TV. It's like almost like catching Halley's Comet or something. And there's a reason for that, other than the lawsuits, other than the controversy, other than did Rod rip this off from this writer? It don't matter. The answers to those questions truly do not matter. What matters is the shittiness of this episode, is the terrible, terrible Sounds and Silences. I mean, it just doesn't get any worse than this. This stars John MacGyver as this retired Navy guy who runs this office filled with people, and his big gimmick is he loves loud noises. He takes noises from ships and army and music from that time and plays it on his records and blasts it loud for everybody to hear. He's this loud, obnoxious prick that nobody likes. He's hated in the office. He goes home, complains to his wife. Oh, my mother, she was terrible to me. She would tell me to whisper, 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 whisper. He just goes on and on about these terrible tirades. He's just this loud big mouth that you just want to see get cold-cocked in the face. And the entire episode is this guy just being a douche, loud, rude guy. And eventually what happens is this loudness catches up with him, and all of a sudden everything that he hears becomes amplified, right? He hears the drops in the sink. They sound amplified to him. It almost sounds like cannons going off, or, the faucet of the shower, it's leaking and he tries to hold it. And what they try to do in this episode is they try to play with sound. They try to do this interesting sound gimmick episode where, what can we do with the technicalities of sound, right? And Donner's the director. And listen, I love Richard Donner. I think Richard Donner's great. I don't think Richard Donner is necessarily the problem, despite this being the number one episode. The problem is the script. This screams of this show is over. Like we have to pack it up and go home. There's a reason there's less than 10 Twilight Zone episodes that aired after this. Like this is, to me, the point of no return for the show. Now, don't get me wrong. In a perfect world, and I do know that this did happen for a fact, CBS did renew Rod Serling for season 6. They said, hey, I know we had some problems with season 4. I know season 5 wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but we did offer him a Twilight Zone season 6. And Rod said no. And part of the reason I think for that is an episode like this. This is truly, it feels like inferior. It feels like it's not worthy of a Richard Donner, of a Rod Serling, of a Twilight Zone name being on it. Because again, it's just a loud, obnoxious man. I can't, all this stuff is so amplified. It's terrible. He goes to the doctor, tells the doctor off. Then he goes to a psychiatrist who fixes him. He hypnotizes him, fixes him. Then the whole twist, the irony of the twist is he goes home, and then everything, he can't hear it anymore. He blasts his records, he can't hear it. He smashes glasses, can't hear it. He looks outside, he hears you see all this traffic, he can't hear anything. And the whole irony is, it's like, okay, you went from being this loud, obnoxious, terrible guy who was rude and mean to everybody that you ever met, then you were loud and stuff like that, then you friggin' could hear everything amplified, and now you don't want to hear shit amplified. We will make sure you can't hear it all. And the last summation from Rod Serling is, Mr. Roswell G. Flemington, the last we heard from him, he was trying to convince people at this sanitarium to make noise. He's pleading for them to make noise and stuff like that. It's terrible. John MacGyver is obnoxious in the role, and I get that it's an obnoxious, terrible character. There's really nothing though to enjoy. There's no entertainment. It's not funny. It's not entertaining. It's not particularly well written. It's not clever. It feels like, honestly, a bad parody of a Twilight Zone episode that just doesn't accomplish anything. It's truly the worst of the worst to me when it comes to the show. To me, the Sounds and Silences is absolutely at the bottom of the barrel, and I don't think he can ever be topped. I really don't. So Sounds and Silences comes in at number 1. I think this one is absolutely god awful. I mean, just nothing redeemable about this one, but I'm curious what you guys have to say. Brian Sanchez, S3Z. What's up, everybody? From live chat in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm a fan of movies like sci-fi, noir, thriller, and horror movies, so there you go. Brian Sanchez, welcome to the graveyard. And I don't know if we have anybody that's ever watched from Albuquerque, New Mexico before, so cheers, my friend. Happy to have you in the house. Scratch saying Ayo Miss C. Richard Donner, Crypt Legend. Richard Donner, legend, period. I mean, and he directed quite a few episodes in this final season. He directed quite a few of them. And unfortunately, some of the best and some of the worst, right? I mean, it's actually mind-boggling that the same guy that directed Nightmare at 20,000 Feet and Come Wander With Me also directed something like this. And again, I don't think it's necessarily his fault. I think this is a total episode that suffers from just a terrible script. There's just this is just not a good idea. Okay, this loudmouth guy, he's going to hear things amplified, then he's not going to hear it all. That's your big Twilight Zone episode. That's your big story. What? And I always make the joke that if I was Rod Serling, I would have said, you know what, kid, I'm going to keep my 3,500. We'll put your name on it, and if you're forever play in syndication, known as the worst episode ever, and it was written by you, not me. If I was Rod Serling, I would have said, I'll keep my 3,500. And you got to keep in mind, 3,500, may not sound like a ton in here in 2026. Granted, I think it's a nice chunk of change. But in 1964, that's a shit ton of money, $3,500. And it's one of the only times ever that somebody came at them for plagiarism that actually won their suit, that actually got their settlement and payoff. So kind of crazy that it comes from the episode that I consider to be the absolute worst. It's kind of wild. We got Slash and Fred in the house. It's hard to believe that some of these people who were in the episodes were Disney voice actors. And of course, Disneyland had their Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, which scared the shit out of me. I'll never forget going on the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror as a kid. I remember like when that thing first drops and my entire body flew, I'll never forget that, man. I was terrified of that. Like that was, to this day, one of the scariest rides ever went on. Mr. Dan in horror is here, 4230. Hey, Granny. Hey, Mr. Dan. Hope all's well with you, fellow Twilight Zone enthusiast. Such a Fred. This episode is a lesson on how loud noise can cause deafness. I guess so. Anything you want to say to try to give it a merit, I think is worth a shot because there's no other reason. Should have stayed in the vault. It should have stayed in the vault. There's no, like, it's so bad. And, like, I remember you got to keep in mind, I was excited to finally see this because before I got this, which would have been after 2016, I don't remember exactly the year I got this, but the only way to really watch it was if they aired it. And I was like, my God, like I'm waiting for them to air it. Finally they do. And I was like, oh my God, I remember I stayed up till hours, like 2 or 3 in the morning to watch this piece of shit episode. It goes to show you that, yeah, there may be a reason why you haven't seen it. And another episode that didn't make this list, I actually quite like it, is called The Encounter. And it's with George Takei and Neville Brand. And the two of them, one is this United States former soldier, and the other one is a former Japanese soldier. Or I'm sorry, his father was, I think is how it goes in the episode. His father was a part of the kamikazes or something like that. And they go into this attic, and basically the attic door gets locked, and the entire episode is just the two of them kind of going back and forth about how they're ashamed to be the people that they are. That episode, it I think was 51 years in between its original air day to when it finally re-aired during that famous Twilight Zone marathon I mentioned in 2016. And the biggest reason for that was because they used a Japanese slur in the episode. There's a point where Neville Brand calls George Takei a Japanese slur, and they held it off syndication for over 51 years. I think it was technically 52 calendar years. They held that episode off of television just because of him using that word. So the first time I ever saw that episode was also on that late night, all night thing. And I thought that one was worth it. And of course, now you can watch either episode on this Blu-ray edition. So it's pretty cool. I'm playing Twilight Zone bingo card with my 5 choices so far. I have a blank card. Wow. This didn't make your top 10. Really? I'm surprised. I would think this would be close to being on everybody's top 10, but I'm actually like amazed that this didn't make somebody's. But I'm very excited to hear your top 10. John MacGyver is another shitty episode, probably on the list. Good Lord. Yes, John MacGyver does feature twice in the bottom 4. How is that possible? Hey, Miss C, always great to see you. Say hi and to new and returning people. Thanks for being the Graveyard Grim Greeter. Yes, the Triple G. Hell yeah. I'm with that. I like that. Sounds pretty bad. It happens. Spielberg's second Night Gallery episode is awful. Yeah, it does happen. Listen, it's not to say that, again, over 156, you're not going to be perfect. It's not going to happen. But it's just, to me, like Rod Serling wrote this. Like that's what makes this a even more bitter pill to swallow. Penny Singleton, who appeared in the episode, was the voice of Jane Jetson on The Jetsons. Well, that's a better show than this. Donner did Dig That Cat. He's Real Gone, one of the best Crips, and did Showdown, one of the lamest Crips. Yeah, I don't know. Showdown, I always thought was super boring. And then, yes, I love Dig That Cat. He's Real Gone. I'm a big fan of Joe Pantoliano. So, I like The Encounter, too. The Encounter, to me, The Encounter is great because it tells both sides, but neither are, made to be look like heroes. They're both ashamed of the people that they've become, right? And like Arthur, there's the scene where Arthur's crying. He's, my dad was a dirty, rotten traitor. And the two, like, I think the performances in that episode are so good. Like, I love Takei and I love Brand. I think the two of them there, they carry that episode. And then the whole twist at the end where the door opens itself, right? Like, and then you have to ask your question, what was keeping them up there? What was keeping the door locked, right? It was the secrets. It was the shame that they both were living in there own respective lives. And of course, there's definitely a bit of racism in there as well. It's a really deep episode. It's a shame that it took 52 years for it to re-air. But again, when you drop a racial slur in a syndicated television episode, I could see why it took 52 years for it to re-air again. It makes it's understandable. Speaking of Spielberg, he did an episode for Twilight Zone movie, right? He did the worst one in the movie, in my opinion, Kick the Can, which Spielberg, I know he has defended it because obviously the controversy behind the Twilight Zone movie and what happened with Vic Morrow and those two Vietnamese children, the tragedy there, that was terrible and it's inexcusable. But due to that happening and due to the bad publicity and aura and controversy of what happened on the film, he purposely made the Kick the Can remake segment as sweet as he could. He made it so sweet that it would rot the teeth out of your mouth. It just doesn't work. It feels like he's trying to overcompensate for the deaths of 3 people that happened on the set of that particular movie. And listen, I understand why he'd do that. I don't deny that if I was in his shoes that I may have done the same thing, but all these years later, it doesn't work. And like, I'm not a huge fan of the Kick the Can episode in the original series, but it's a lot. It's night and day better than oh my God, the Spielberg one is terrible. Like, oh my God, one of the worst things he ever did. It's up there with like Jurassic Park 2 and the John Goodman one. What the fuck was that called? It was like, the guy dies and then he's getting cucked in the afterlife. Like, what was the name of that goddamn movie? It's horrible. Spielberg did some, I don't give a shit. Spielberg has made some shit. Not everybody is exempt from shit, and Sound and Silences is proof of that. But let's move on to number 2. Number 2 on the bottom 10 Twilight Zone episodes of all time. This one is from season 4, and I know people don't like season 4, and yes, season 4 had some stinkers, and there's a few of them on this list here. And this is the particular season where they went from the classic formatted 25-minute episodes and stretched them out to the 50-plus minute episodes. And of the bunch, this is, in my opinion, the worst. This is season 4, episode number 12, the number 2 worst Twilight Zone episode of all time, starring long-lost great-great-grandfather of Ryan Hanley. I'm talking about I Dream of Jeannie. Yes, a wise genie appears from a lamp to a meek man, George P. Hanley. Hanley is so used to bad luck, he imagines how each of these 3 possible wishes could go very wrong, but the genie will grant him only one wish. Yes, I Dream of Jeannie. Oh, yes, by the way, that is always. Yes, that one, I thought that was terrible. That's absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But, sorry, back to Twilight Zone mode here. I Dream of Jeannie. Absolute fucking shit show. What the fuck? So this stars, and my God, this guy sucked. Howard Morris as our lead, Mr. Hanley here. No, I don't make any relation to Ryan Hanley. I wish it would have been Ryan Hanley. At least it would have been cool to see a buddy on the show. But you follow this character as he's this guy that's been pushed around in life. He's the type of guy that has elevator doors closed in his face. He's the type of guy that if he takes out your daughter, you're not staying up or worrying about it. He's, quote unquote, lack of a better term, a loser. He's somebody that lets life beat him to his knees every day. And he's kind of looked at as the loser in the office. He's the loser in his house. He's the loser if he goes into a store. Like, everywhere he looks, he's the loser. And it's not until one day where he goes into a curio shop and this guy kind of tricks him into buying this shitty lamp that has all this dirt on it. He buys it and says, hey, I'm going to get it for a gift for the pretty girl in the office that I have a crush on. It's her birthday coming up. And that actress is Patricia Barry, who, yeah, she'll make an appearance on this list as well. If you're a Patricia Barry fan, unfortunately, she found her way to 2 of the bottom 10. It's insane. But he has a crush on her, and he decides, I'm just going to give her this dirty lamp. Why not? He goes to work. It doesn't go well. He's never able to give her the lamp. She's kind of dogged over by all the other guys in the office. They kind of leave, and then he takes the lamp home with him, rubs said lamp, and Jack Albertson pops out. When I first saw this episode, I was like, Jack Albertson as the genie? Like, I am so in. I love Jack Albertson from Twilight Zone fame, The Shelter. I love The Shelter, one of my favorite episodes of the entire series. I think he's tremendous in said episode. And I guess more people would know him as Grandpa Joe. Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. He plays the genie here. Only unfortunate thing, in a 51-minute episode, he's on screen for less than 3. There's less than 3 wishes. He's on screen for less than 3 minutes in a 51-minute episode called I Dream of Jeannie. Your genie isn't on the fucking screen for more than 3 minutes. In a 51-minute episode, they're like, okay, bring him in. And it's just a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Like, why would you waste his time or his talent and not write something for him here? You have 51 minutes of material and you only had 3 minutes for fucking Jack Albertson. Pisses me off to this day. Ever since the first time I saw it, I was like, how is that? How does that happen? The entire episode is this idiot guy imagining of what he would wish for. Not wishing for it. Not the classic, oh, you have 3 wishes. Wish number 1. Oh, it goes wrong. Let's try again. Oh, number 2 goes wrong. Oh, number 3, let's just wish it all back to normal and I'll go back to my crummy life. That's how this usually plays out. But no, this one does it a little bit differently. This one, he imagines how bad the wishes would go. First, wish number 1. I wish I was married to the woman in the office, and I also wish that she was a fucking movie star. How he got 2 for 1, I don't know. He even says, he goes, I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. How the hell are you able to wish for this woman to be a Hollywood starlet and her husband? That seems like 2 wishes to me. But all right, whatever, for the sake of this fucking episode. He goes, oh, she won't kiss him because her makeup's on. Oh, she won't kiss him because she's tired. Basically, in this man's own dreams, in his own fantasy, he's being cucked by his own Hollywood starlet wife. And it's like, okay, I understand if it was a wish gone wrong or if it was, real everyday life. In your fantasy, you can't get a kiss? In your fantasy, you're being cucked? In your fantasy? And that's kind of how it plays out. She won't kiss him. He is told to walk the dog, and then she comes out and she's making out with another actor. And that's what they do in the episode. He sees it from above and he's all sad, and he kind of wakes up in his chair and goes, okay, guess I can't guess for that. The next wish is, oh, I wish I was a billionaire. I wish I was the richest man alive. So he plays that one out in his head. He has everything, and all these people are kind of, treating him better and treating him nicely. But he can see how fake it is. He can see that they don't sincerely or earnestly mean what they're saying to him. In fact, they're just trying to get him to cut them a check for something, right? And he says that when you have everything, all that there's left to do is to sit there and just look at it. And that's the problem he has with that wish. And then the last wish, he wishes for power. He's the president of the United States. And the fucking people come in. Hey, there's these unidentified flying objects coming in. Are we going to shoot them down or are we going to let them land? You have 5 minutes to decide. And that's it. And he doesn't want the responsibility of making a high pressure decision despite being the man who's the fucking president of the United States. These 3 wishes are all imagined. He all imagines them all going wrong. It's terrible, terrible time. He's either going to be a cuck, he's going to be a boring billionaire, or he's going to be a shitty president. And the episode ends with possibly the single worst twist in the history of the show. I've heard people say that they think it's clever. That's fine if you think it's clever. I think this shit is stupid. His wish, his big fucking wish, is not for ass. It's not for green. It's not for power. It's not for the promotion at his job. He doesn't even wish for a fucking nice 3-course dinner. No. This idiot wishes to be a genie. The episode ends where a bum in an alley finds the fucking lamp, rubs it, he pops out, is in the full genie attire, and says, I will grant you 3 wishes. And he turns, breaks the 4th wall on the camera, and Rod Serling says, oh, he wishes to be a fucking genie. That is a disgrace. That is a horrendous twist. Oh, it's pretty clever, though, don't you think? No, I don't think so. I think it's fucking stupid. Stupid. I get it that, oh, well, if every wish goes wrong, why not wish to be a genie? Why not wish to be one that can be the one that grants wishes, especially when life has kicked sand in your face so much? Like, okay, if you had taken this seriously, I could see a message like that not doing so badly. I really can. I could see a world where this would have worked. But the entire episode kind of plays out very tongue-in-cheek, hence the I dream of Genie instead of I dream of Genie. It seems like it was trying to kind of be funny and tongue-in-cheek. And you look at the director, Robert Gist. Robert Gist was the director. The writer, John Furia. Neither one of these guys really went on to work very much more in the Twilight Zone. In fact, I don't believe either one of them did. And the director, he had directed, I think, several episodes of sitcoms along the vein of I Dream of Jeannie. I want to see Perry Mason episodes, Untouchables episodes, Hawaiian Eye episodes, Flight episodes. Like, this guy was just a TV staple. And yeah, I don't know. There's just something about this particular episode that just, I think he did such a poor job. It just doesn't work on any level to me. It's such a weak one. And then the John Furia script, it's like, what are we doing here? Like, what, like, I don't know. I think I Dream of Jeannie is one of the worst Twilight Zones. It's the worst hour-long one. It's the second worst one of the entire show to me. It's just frustrating. And Of all the hour-long ones, a big criticism, a big critique from everyone about the fourth season as a whole is that the episodes feel very padded. They feel very overlong and stretched. And I agree with that sentiment. Overall, I completely do. If there's an episode that suffers from that the most, it's this one. It feels so overlong. It's like, are we done yet? Is this guy done with his second boring dream? A fantasy where you would think a fantasy is something fantastical would happen. No, not at all. It don't happen at all. And you know what's really funny? Because I know people say that I'm over the top and I when I rant and stuff like that. That's totally fine. It's totally justified. When I had Anthony on, when I had Fever Dreamland Theater on with me to review the fourth season, he made this statement, not me, but I agree with him wholeheartedly. He said, I was waiting for something to happen in this office. I was waiting for something to happen. Anything. Even if an orgy broke out, it would have been better than what they did. That is Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater saying that. Anthony, one of the nicest, most politically correct, like chill, down to earth, just a great human being. I love Anthony. He's always calm, cool, collected. Even he was asking for an orgy. That's how bored he was. Like that, like to me, that's the sentiment. That should be on the stamp on the fucking DVD case here, where it's like, okay, if you were Dreamland Theater asked for an orgy at this point, like that's how terrible I Dream of Jeannie is. So I don't know. Just absolutely terrible episode. But let's see what y'all have to say in the chat. Twilight Zone going to an hour was a mistake. Very few episodes entertaining enough to be the full hour. It was a huge mistake. I wonder if after it happened. Now, obviously, I know they regretted it immediately, and they immediately jumped back to the half-hour format, and they went into season 5 thinking this is it. And what's a shame is that the studio was like, you know what, we'll give you a 6th season, and then Rod was like, fuck you, like I want to go teach. And I think Rod regretted that. I really do. It's never been said, it's never been stated. But if you look at Rod's career after that, it seemed like he wanted to be so involved in stuff. Like Night Gallery is shortly after. And then, you look at all the anthology films that he was a part. Like Rod seemed to really want to still doing it. I think he just needed a break. I think they just needed like a year off or something, and it might have been okay. But unfortunately, yeah, the ship sailed and we never got a season 6. And I do think that's mainly because of season 4. Bob Hastings was the voice of Jim Gordon on Batman, the animated series. Grandpa Joe, the freeloader. I've got a golden twinkle in my eye. Grandpa, after this episode, Grandpa Joe said, fuck it, I'm not a genie anymore. I'm just going to be this old grandpa fuck and wait till my son brings home, or my grandson brings home the fucking golden ticket. Jack Albertson was also on the series, Chico and the Man. Loved it. Jack Albertson's great. Grani, what's worse, this or Gin, No Chaser? Holy shit. Wow. Honestly, this, because it's longer. That's Gin No Chaser is one of the worst things I've ever watched. There's no doubt. And for people who don't know what that is, that's the episode of Tales from the Dark Side with fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he plays a genie. I shit you not, that really happened. That's a real thing that you could watch with your own eyes. However, at least I could watch that twice before I could finish this once. And that's enough for me. Like I will absolutely watch Gin No Chaser because I would get more time of my life back. Fave Jack Albertson character was the Doc in Dead and Buried. That's right. That was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tom, that might have been his last role ever. Was him in Dead and Buried. I think he died before the movie came out, which is such a shame. But he's great in that movie. Just great charismatic doctor, and he kind of shows up. Man, that's a good performance. That's a good call. I believe it's such a shame. That was, I think, the end of his career. He went full Jafar. Basically, yeah. You ain't never had a friend like me. But buddy, I'd rather watch the Aladdin sequel than watch this. Nice Mateo, he went to Jafar. Yeah, he went to Jafar. Is it better than going full Jafar? Yes, Jafar and Jafar, right? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus Jafar. Oh, Jesus. I don't know. If that was the case, I would just wish for death. I would be like, I wish to die at this point. But let's move on into the number 3 worst episode of The Twilight Zone of all time. And this one, maybe if there's any of them that may get me in hot water, it might be this one. But at the same time, I really don't know. I think this one has always sucked. Maybe there is an audience for it. It's not that low rated. So we'll see. This is season 3, episode 13. This is Once Upon a Time. Janitor Woodrow Mulligan gets a trip from 1890 to 1962, courtesy of his employer's time machine helmet. Directed by Norman Z. McLeod, who you might remember from a lot of silent era film stuff. And speaking of silent era film stuff, the star, the episode that this was written for, Buster Keaton. Buster Keaton is the lead of this particular episode, and it was written by Richard Matheson, who was a giant Buster Keaton fan growing up. He loved Buster Keaton cinema, grew up a lot on the silent era stuff, and because the Twilight Zone was thriving so much, because it was peaking, I know a lot of people say it peaked in season 2 or 3, and that's, I think, a totally fair statement. I would agree with that. I think season 2 was the best. But season 3 had some great stuff in it as well. And because the Twilight Zone was booming, because it was doing so well, they let some of these writers say, hey, like, what do you want to do? It was almost like a free choice. It was like, okay, what do you want to do this week? And Richard Matheson said, I want to write an episode to tribute Buster Keaton. Let's do a Buster Keaton revolved around Twilight Zone episode where he's the star and we contribute the silent era films that he comes from. And the whole idea was we'll open the episode in 1890 and it will be like a silent era picture. He'll find a time machine helmet and kind of go into the future, and he is now in sound, and it's like a regular Twilight Zone episode, and the kind of things play out from there. On paper, I think that's a great idea, and I think that his admiration and respect for a Buster Keaton, that's really nice that Matheson tried that. However, Richard Matheson himself has denounced this episode, disowned this episode, said that they, quote, didn't do it right, said that they, quote, elongated it and ruined it because his idea for the episode was to be one long chase sequence. It was going to be a 25-minute chase sequence between 1890, 1962, and back to 1890. He wanted it to be one long kind of, Tom and Jerry episode, if you will. And I was all for that if that's what they had let Matheson done, and Matheson's great. But what they do instead is just terrible. There's just no defense for it. It opens in the 1890s. Buster Keaton finds his helmet. He gets transformed or transferred into 1962, and it's just a terrible, goofy, unfunny comedy from there. They go to a repair shop to try to fix this fucking helmet, and we're gonna show Buster Keaton. He sees the TV for the first time. Well, what's this? Is he talking to me? Wow, hardy har har. That's really funny. It's just the comedy in it doesn't work at all. You don't laugh a single time. And again, I get it that people could say, hey, wait a minute, Grande, maybe you just don't get it. Hey, maybe this is just a different era of comedy that you can't appreciate. And to that, I say, you may very well be right. I may very well just not be the demographic for something like this. If you grew up with the silent era pictures and watch something like this, maybe you'll really like it. I don't know. I'm not trying to put that down in that element of respect. But I just think unfunny comedy is an unfunny comedy no matter what era you're homaging, no matter what you're paying tribute to. To me, this is just truly unfunny. And I respect what you're trying to do for Buster, but at the same time, why? Why in the Twilight Zone? Why not make your own project around Buster? Like, it almost feels like they were like, okay, Buster Keaton's faded. Buster Keaton's star is no more. But the Twilight Zone is booming. The Twilight Zone is thriving. Let's get Buster on here, and we can kind of relight that star. Maybe that was I don't know. But it doesn't work at all. It's just truly just a absolute torture to sit through. It's just so bad. The one guy that he's working with in the episode, he takes the helmet and says, oh, I want to go back to 1890. I want to live in the simpler time. And then they chase each other. Buster Keaton's pants fall down. They trip. They run past a cop. They knock him over. They knock into people on the streets. And I'm sure that people thought it was knee-slappingly funny. But I don't. I just truly, I watched this episode with a puss on my fucking face. It's just, the whole time, it doesn't ignite or enlighten you at all. It's just fucking terrible, man. I don't know. I do not like Once Upon a Time. It's awful. It's truly awful. It's absolute torture. The worst episode from season 3, in my opinion. But let's see. You got a couple people commenting on that one. The episode is called I Dream of Jeannie, and 2 years later, people actually got the classic series with Barbara Eden. Yes. This one actually is a 7, which is, I think that's absurd, but maybe it's me. Buster Keaton, that's right. Buster Keaton is the star. Yay, finally filled the space in the bingo card, 4 to go. The idea was good, the episode wasn't. Okay, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there too. I agree. I'm with the idea if you let Matheson drive that ship. And also, I even to the extent of reaching out to get a director from yesteryear, to get a guy that made silent pictures in order to try to make it feel authenticated. I think that was a good idea as well. But the problem and maybe people are not going to like me saying this, especially since I am a person that I like the old school. I don't come from the old school, but I love the old school. I am very much a person that likes things the way they were. That's more me than anything now. Like anything, like don't get me wrong. Next week we're going to talk all things about, because I had a schedule change, and we'll go into that at the end of the show. But as far as modern day cinema versus cinema of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even going back to stuff that I've watched with my grandmother in the 30s, 40s, 50s, like I like that era more than what we're in now. And to me, this felt like a bygone era that they tried to pay tribute to and bring back, but it feels very so much forced in the 1960s. It just feels like it was a good idea, but it almost was passe. It just didn't hit the same as it did perhaps in its prime, in its original run. And that happens sometimes. Certain things, they have their time, and that's it. You got to move on. Otherwise, it becomes disco. Otherwise, you look back and go, why did we ever like that? And that, to me, is what this episode is in a nutshell. It reflects that era in a bad light, in my opinion. Like, perfect example. You look at neo horror movies. We're talking about neo horror movies later this month, right? It was a product of its time. It doesn't work now. Even though it was just under 30 years ago, it just doesn't hit the same now. And then you could pick any era of film, any particular subgenre of the genre that had its time. It eventually fades. You have to adapt or you'll perish. And that's kind of what I felt with this particular episode. The helmet in this episode looks so goddamn stupid, and I'm sure it's purposely stupid. Like, I'm sure it's all purpose, and like, I don't know. I get, maybe it's just me. I don't know. I don't find it funny. Like, that to me is the biggest thing. And Twilight Zone, let's be honest, they tried comedy a few times. And this is not the last comedy episode on this list. It wasn't even the first. I Dream of Jeannie is sort of a comedy episode. Sound of the Silences, maybe it was, but I don't find that shit funny either. Maybe so bad it's funny. I don't know. But to me, with the Twilight Zone, they didn't do comedy that well. I think Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side did comedy episodes way better. Like, to me, Deliver Us from Evil or Deliver Us from Goodness is a way funnier episode than almost any Twilight Zone episodes trying to be funny. Very unpopular, I know, with Mr. Appendino. Mr. Gowdy and the Graves is a rare Twilight Zone episode that's trying to be funny that I thought was. That one I thought was clever, and it was well written, it was well performed. But yeah, I don't know. The particular, I don't know, comedy episodes with this show, they don't really land that much. I feel like Carol Burnett is coming soon. You're just about right. You're just about right. Not exactly next, but certainly just like Cavender, she is coming. Let's move on to number 4, the number 4 worst Twilight Zone episode of all time. We go back to season 4. This is season 4, episode 18. This was the season finale of season 4. This is The Bard. Yes, The Bard. My lord. And this is the longest plot synopsis, so bear with me. Julius Moomer. I don't know if Scratch Burno's still here, but we're talking about Julius Moomer now. A talentless but relentless self-promoting hack who dreams of becoming a successful television writer uses a book of magic to summon William Shakespeare to write dramatic teleplays that Moomer will pass off as his own. Shakespeare becomes irritated by Moomer's lack of appreciation and is even more appalled when he discovers the changes wrought on his plays by cynical television executives. Talk about unfunny fucking comedies. Jesus Christ. This is an hour-long one. An hour long. Oh, my God, this is terrible. So the idea here is you have Jack Weston playing a loser who is very untalented and can't write anything worth the shit, but he's a big ass-kiss guy, and he wants to do anything he can to pay his dues, to get his foot in the door, and to be a successful writer on television. And what he ends up doing is he summons William Shakespeare using black magic in order to help him write teleplays. And he does this. William Shakespeare helps him out. He becomes an overnight sensation. And then Shakespeare starts to get a little envious. And the whole episode kind of ends where they're on set shooting. And Shakespeare gets pissed off by the sponsorships, by the changes that directors make, by basically, I think this entire episode was a big commentary from Rod Serling on how he disliked working with CBS sponsorship. And don't get me wrong. I understand what Rod went through, and Rod is told, if you ever listen to like sit-down interviews or even written interviews with Rod Serling, and he tells the stories of some of the sponsorship nightmares that he worked with on the show, or in the Mark Zickery, the Twilight Zone companion book. I mean, all that stuff is great reads if you're interested in ever hearing from Rod Serling, the man. his nightmares in dealing with sponsorship. I mean, there are stories that will make you want to rip your hair out. There's a great one where I think we're shooting the episode either Back There or Templeton, Trouble with Templeton. I think it was Back There. They're shooting Back There. It was the season 2 episode. And there's a scene where the guys are all sitting around a table and they offer coffee and they all order coffee. And then CBS sponsors, they come to Rod Serling and said, hey, wait a minute. We're sponsored by a tea company this week. You have to go back and ADR the line. So they had to go back in post-production, dub over the people ordering coffee and make them order tea just because their sponsor that week was tea. Like, that's one of several examples that if you look into it or if you read into it, man, you will go crazy. And on that respect, I understand Rod's commentary on, hey, what happens when somebody tries to change your vision, when somebody tries to change your script? What happens when a sponsorship oversteps their boundaries and ruins your creation, right? I understand where he was coming from in one element, right? At least the psychology of why you're writing this. But to approach it as a comedy, and especially an unfunny one in this, and the obnoxiousness of the lead character played by Jack Weston, he is possibly the worst Twilight Zone lead, even worse than John MacGyver in Sounds and Silences. And funny enough, John MacGyver is in this episode too. John MacGyver somehow, some way, is on 2 of the bottom 4 worst Twilight Zone episodes of all time. And on IMDb, the 2 lowest rated, the 2 bottom episodes, both feature John MacGyver. So if it's John MacGyver in this Twilight Zone, run the hell away because you just know it's no good. But, I mean, this is terrible. The entire episode also does. This one feels super padded too, where it's like, you might as well try black magic. Oh, I don't know. I know things about black magic. He goes into this library and he talks to this librarian about fucking nothing. They talk about nothing for 5 minutes. It feels like we needed 5 minutes. Just have them talk about the fucking weather for 5 minutes. They end up talking about baseball. She's like, oh, did you hear about Duke Snider? He doubled in somebody home for the Mets last night. And the Mets, even in the Twilight Zone, the Mets can't win. But that's neither here nor there. Even in the Twilight Zone, we're terrible. And even in this terrible episode, we're terrible. So he summons Shakespeare, John Williams, not that John Williams, not the Star Wars and amongst many other Jaws and so many great John Williams scores. John Williams, the actor, plays William Shakespeare in this, and he has a terrible fucking bald cap on throughout the entire episode. It literally looks like it's squeezing his brain. And it maybe it was, I don't know. And he gets angry and jealous of this guy taking all the credit. And then it kind of culminates to they're filming this thing. John MacGyver's there. And we do see, and I saw somebody mention this, the only thing that is kind of worth watching this episode for, Burt fucking Reynolds. Burt Reynolds, in his only Twilight Zone appearance, does show up here as an actor that's portraying Marlon Brando in A Streetcar Named Desire. He's doing his best Brando impersonation. So I popped for that when I first saw the episode. I was like, Burt Reynolds? What? And there is a funny scene where William Shakespeare punches out Burt Reynolds and he does a huge back bump through the fucking table. That, I thought that was great. I was like, my goodness, that is absolutely something I never thought I'd see. But aside from seeing him, aside from the small cameo, and he's basically playing an actor that's very curmudgeon and very smug and very my shit doesn't stink. He's kind of playing that type of role. It's cool to see Burt, but man, the rest of this episode stinks. And the whole thing at the end is Shakespeare storms off, fuck you. And the people at the TV, they're like, hey, we need a Nat Geographic show or a natural history show. And he summons with black magic, Abraham Lincoln and Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee. And he has all these people coming into the office as the episode ends. And I guess it's supposed to be funny, but it's not. And I think to me, with Rod Serling writing this as a sort of a backhand to all the people that kind of, dabbled in his show and scripts and productions over the years, why not go more of a serious route there? Why go to the absurd level of black magic and William Shakespeare and fucking Sacagawea by the end, really? To me, I don't understand why you would do that. It's just so over the top to the point where it's maybe they thought it would just be so bombastic and so out there, so left field that the people would think it was funny, but it's not. It doesn't hit at all. It's just so you just kind of shrug pretty fucking lame. That's the best word to describe the Bard. It's just fucking lame. I hate this one. John MacGyver returns. Yes, John MacGyver. The if there's an MVP in the Twilight Zone, it's probably Jack Klugman or Burgess Meredith. If there's a least valuable player, it's John MacGyver for sure. There an episode of the series called The Facts of Life called Seven Little Indians, which had a Twilight Zone parody, had some guy impersonating Rod Serling who did it. I've not seen that. This episode, The Bard, feels like a precursor to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is a better comedy using Socrates instead of Socrates. Socrates. You're a loser, Mooma. You're a loser. Oh my God. And that guy he goes through you like a nail throughout the episode. There's a point where he starts singing. He goes, what if we did a musical? Hoo-up-a-dap-a-doo, and he starts doing this whole shuffle, and you're just like, holy shit, who the fuck told him this was a good idea? And the director here, David Butler, that's one thing you'll see too on this list is a lot of the directors featured were guys that, they were no John Brahms. There were no Buzz Kulicks. There was no, granted, you did have Richard Donner in there, but again, Donner doesn't show up till the very end of the show. But Donner's there for season 5 only. But some of the series staples, none of them are involved with these terrible fucking episodes, really. Donner's probably the best name on here when I look back. Man, I actually know that you do have a Brahm episode right at the end. So, okay, John Brahm was not exempt from the list. I spoke too soon. Now we're syncing with our choices, John. This episode was overly long, unfunny, the worst sin in the Twilight Zone. It was boring. Yes, and that's a big sin. I agree with a lot of the hour-long ones. I like the Robert Duvall one. I like Miniature. I love the new exhibit. That to me is the best hour-long one. I like Valley of the Shadow. The 30 Fathom Grave was very close to making this list. It's bottom 15 for me. And it's not even that it's that bad. The acting's fine. And shout out Mike Kellen from Sleepaway Camp. Mel from Sleepaway Camp is the lead in that one. It has a good enough idea, has good enough atmosphere. It has a good ending, but it's overly long to the point where it does join or cross over into that path of monotony, of boredom. And that to me is a big reason why the 30 Fathom Grave almost made this list. Now it doesn't. It did sneak by. It would be, if it was bottom 15, we'd be talking about it. Jack Weston is in a much more iconic, better episode in season 1. Yes, he is. That's absolutely right. Jack Weston was, oh my goodness, what the hell? Monsters Do on Maple Street, which unpopular for me. I'm not as big on that one as most people, but don't worry, that one's not on the list or anything like that. But it's not like some people had that at number 1. That would not make my top 20. I'm not a big. I think The Shelter is the better version of Monsters Do on Maple Street. But I know I'm a big, that has got me so much hot water over the years. I remember somebody commented on the season 1 video I did and said, that's the worst take in the history of the internet. I was like, I am honored to wear that badge. I really am. I don't know if you ever watched it, but Judy Stranglis was on the very cheesy female Batman series by the Krop brothers, Electra Woman and Dyna Girl. No, I've never watched that either. One to the other. Yes, Maple Street. The Mets just need Mighty Casey. Yes, we do. He is better than Freddie Peralta. Yeah, it's true. He's got better stuff. He's got more heart. Doctor Who did a similar idea in the 20th episode, The Unquiet Dead, Dickens instead of Shakespeare. There's a great Doctor Who with it's Vincent van Gogh. They show Van Gogh what he's meant to people. And my God, that's something I can't watch that episode without crying. That is one of the best Doctor Who's to me of all time, is that the Van Gogh episode. Doctor Who, man, Doctor Who is so great. Is the thing with Doctor Who is there's so many of them I haven't seen. I've seen all the David Tennant ones and then scattered throughout the years after that. But man, that's a show. There's so much of it that I'd literally have to devote. I'd have to quit my job, basically. Jack Weston played the role of Max Kellerman, the owner of the dance camp in the 80s dance classic Dirty Dancing, and he was in the classic live-action animated comedy, The Incredible Mr. Limpet. Okay. I love Monsters Are Doing Maple Street, but it's all good. Listen, I'm alone on that one. I'm totally alone. But it's not, trust me, I ain't going to make an appearance tonight. It just got to mention because of Jack Weston. And yeah, I agree that episode's a lot better than The Bard. It's a lot better. Coming in at number 5. So this is the last of this is the top 5 worst right off the bat here. The number 5 worst Twilight Zone episode of all time. Season 3, episode 20. I'm talking about it. Showdown with Rance McGrew. Overbearing Western TV series star Rance McGrew is transported back in time to the real Wild Wild West and comes face to face with Jesse James, who's not happy about how he and his fellow outlaws are being portrayed on Rance's show. Whew. So the crazy thing about this is directed by Christian Niebe. And you may remember that if you're a horror fan, you might know that name from a very famous 1950s monster movie called The Thing from Another World. Yes, he was the co-director / main director alongside Howard Marks. I don't fucking. Is it Howard Marks? What I just totally had a brain fart. Let me just double check because I'm usually good off the top of my head. I think Howard Hawks, that Howard Marks. Yeah, right. Jesus. That's how you know it's been a fucking long ass week. Howard Hawks, if I could fucking speak properly here. He was the co-director / director. That's become a big, like almost like Poltergeist. Where was it Spielberg? Was it Hooper? It's Howard Hawks, or was it Christian Niebe? I mean, come on. If you watch The Thing from Another World, it's most likely that it was Howard Hawks. But again, Niebe takes all the credit. And unfortunately, he's a director that's going to appear twice on this list. And spoiler, he's featured twice in a row here. He's going to feature this episode and the number 6 episode. He just happened to make it 2 in a row. Christian Niebe, possibly the worst director in the whole history of the Twilight Zone. But this one is sort of a comedy episode as well, where we bring back Larry Blyden, who I love in a little episode called A Nice Place to Visit from season 1. One of my favorite episodes of the first season, where he plays Rocky Valentine, this guy who has always stolen and broken crimes and done these terrible, terrible things. And he kind of gets shot and killed one night, and then when he wakes up, he thinks he's in heaven, and he's really in hell. And his own personal hell is his own personal heaven, right? He gets all the women he wants, all the money, all the food, all the desirabilities and stuff. But he grows kind of bored of it, and that's a brilliant one. Larry Blyden is great in the episode. Here he plays Rance McGrew, who is this very like frail and weak TV actor who is on this terrible show called Rance McGrew. And basically what they do is they shoot these old school Western type shows, and he is this unstoppable babyface on the show, but in real life he's this very pompous, self-centered, really bratty guy. And he plays the role to the best of his ability. He's trying here, but it's a really frustrating episode when you watch it, because again, another comedy one that's just truly not funny. But at the same time, I think this could have been tackled so much more seriously. Like, okay, I like the idea and I believe this was a Rod Serling script. Yes, this was a Rod Serling script. I like the idea of what episode, or I guess, what if we did an episode where we had a John Wayne type actor or type talent, and what if he really ran into the real Billy the Kid, right? And on paper, sounds interesting. Like, okay, yeah, these prima donna Hollywood actors that think they're also tough because they're playing tough guys, but what happens if they actually ran into them? Like, to me, it could have been seriously tackled and really, I think, more properly done. Instead, Christian Niebe just makes a really bad comedy episode that doesn't work. Jesse fucking James shows up, and he basically is just bullying the guy around. Like, oh, I got some changes to make around here. I got some bones to pick with you. And he's basically just bullying him, pushing him down, stuff like that. He at one point says, we have to draw, and they're going to shoot each other. And then he's like, listen, no, I can't do this. I'll do anything you say. And the whole compromise is, hey, moving forward, I want to see the egg on your face. Moving forward, I want to see the guys from yesteryear beating you up and throwing you through windows. And they basically, he gets to keep his show, but now he's going to be the brunt of the joke, as opposed to him beating up guys like Billy the Kid or Jesse James or et cetera, right? And even Jesse James says, hey, up in I guess Western cowboy heaven, we all sat down and they sent me down to set you straight, set you right. And like, I maybe there are some people that think that's fucking clever or good. I don't. I really don't. Like, I think that's fucking terrible. I really do. Like, oh, us boys up in cowboy heaven, we said, like, what? And a lot of slapstick humor. There's guy jumps through the glass a few times. There's a scene where he's like supposed to be drinking whiskey and he's like, oh, this is terrible. Give me ginger ale, right? Because he's such a prima donna type of thing. And like, I guess that all that's supposed to be funny and you're supposed to enjoy seeing this guy get his comeuppance, but the whole thing just kind of doesn't work. Like, yeah, he's playing a tough guy. Nobody ever said he was one. You know, like I don't really understand the whole, like, okay, I get that he's getting his comeuppance at the end and just desserts and reap what you sow, but like, did this character really warrant that? Like, I really don't think he did. Like, yeah, he's acting a part. They're telling him he goes over. Like, that's like, what is so bad about that? Like, oh, we got disrespected. Shouldn't you be taking it up with the people writing the show? Like, yeah, this guy's a fucking prima donna dick, but I don't think it's really his fault. He's playing a part. It's the people writing the show that is making him go over your Jesse James, your Billy the Kids, your, what have yous. That those are the more people that you should be targeting. Like, I don't know. It's such a gaffe. It's such a, like, oh my God, terrible episode. And to me, considering the fact you got Larry Blyden back, who was in one of my favorite zones from season 1, only to have him come here and really not do much. There's not much to this one. This is one of the weaker ones. And yeah, the direction sucks. Like, I think the biggest problem is the direction, and that this is going to carry over to the next one. Rance McGoof. Yes. Christian Eby appears later on this list too. Yeah, Christian Eby is up next. Just a brief spoiler. This is The Other Place, Mr. Valentine. Sebastian Cabot. Great stuff. Love that episode. I do too. That's like, of season 1, that's got to be top 5. One of my favorite is A Nice Place to Visit. Me too. I'm glad that we're all on the same. It's funny. Like, we're talking about the guy that led that episode. He leads here, and we'd all much rather watch A Nice Place to Visit. It's just so much better of a Twilight Zone. This is terrible. I hate this one. Terrible stuff. But that brings us to number 6. Coming in at number 6, season 3, episode 36. A lot of sixes. 666. That's a bad demon. I don't know. Bad omen. I'm talking about it. Cavender is coming. Inept apprentice guardian angel Harmon Cavender is chastised by his superior and given a final chance to earn his wings by helping an unconventional big city woman, the young, socially awkward Agnes Grepp, who is played by none other than Carol Burnett. Yes, Carol Burnett in The Twilight Zone. Something that it almost doesn't correlate. It's like, huh? Carol Burnett was the lead of a Twilight Zone? Huh? It was written specifically for her? Huh? It was terrible? Yeah. Big spoiler, big news flash. If you haven't caught it already, Cavender is coming. It shouldn't be Cavender is coming. It should be spelled Cavender is coming, Cuming, because it would have been better than this. I mean, this is an episode so bad that Rod Serling wrote an apology letter to Carol Burnett. And I pulled up the letter. I've got it verbatim. I'm going to read it on the graveyard here tonight. But I want to speak about how bad the episode is first and foremost. Because what this is basically was a rehash of an episode from season 1 called Mr. Beavis. Now, Mr. Beavis is another hated episode. I don't hate it. I think it's a fine, harmless, It's a Wonderful Life wannabe. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. I don't think it's as bad as most people. With that being said, Rod said that episode didn't work. And producer of the series, Buck Houghton, he hated Mr. Beavis too. He says it's the worst episode of The Twilight Zone. I don't even, Mr. Beavis wouldn't be in my bottom 30. I don't even think. Like, I do not hate Mr. Beavis at all. Like, in company of Rance McGrew, Mr. Beavis is fucking, I don't know. Mr. Beavis is a lot better than that shit. But it is neither here nor there. Buck Houghton hated that one. Rod Serling says, hey, wait a minute. If we get Carol Burnett, why don't we try that plot again? Why don't we have It's a Wonderful Life sort of thing with her where she's down on her luck, she's clumsy, she's awkward, she's weird, but we will bring down her guardian angel who's played by Jesse White. Jesse White's a good actor. I like Jesse White in a ton of stuff. I always remember he's in a great episode of The Addams Family where Wednesday goes missing and he's on the phone with Morticia. It's a great scene where he's saying, hey, what's the little girl's name? And she says Wednesday. And he goes, well, I'll find her by Monday if I can. I always thought that was a really great, like don't push it. Don't push it. I'll find her by Monday if I can find her. I thought that was great. I don't know. I just always thought that was really funny. I like Jesse White. He's a talented actor. And Carol Burnett, listen, Carol Burnett changed this thing. Like, she changed, not The Twilight Zone, changed women's acting forever, I would say. Like, she was a star. She was a megastar in a time where women were finally starting to get that opportunity, right? You look at her, you look at a Mary Tyler Moore. To me, those two were the pioneers for women acting moving forward, not just from the 1950s, but moving all the way to the present day, right? And I'll be the first one to tell you that those two women, like, to me, without them, you don't have some of the great actresses that go on to be, and you don't have that ultimate spotlight and starlight that these two women paved the road for. And there's no doubt in my mind about that. It's Carol Burnett, it's Mary Tyler Moore, and yeah, there are others. Donna Reed you could throw in that boat, but to me, it's Mary and it's Carol for sure. If you want to throw I Love Lucy in there, you could throw her in there as well. But to me, she's an icon, and it was exciting to hear, oh, there's an episode, we're going to write it around her. That's so exciting. What you have is a terrible fucking remake of Mr. Beavis, where Jesse's trying to get his wings. He gets sent down, and you see that Carol Burnett's this bumbling theater worker. She stumbles through a glass pane. She is riding on the bus, and then he kind of pops up and says, hey, what if I made your life better? What if I improved everything? And you see, slowly but surely, he does improve her life. Like, she's more successful. She's more wealthy. Her landlord likes her, things like that. But now she's kind of been removed from the friends that she's made, right? Like, when earlier in the episode, she walks in and she meets some of these kids, and they're all like, hey, how are you? You can see that she's a very well-liked woman, despite being a woman that's down on her luck. And then when she goes into the apartment later, the kids don't even look her way, right? Now you're just this prim, proper lady that doesn't have the time of day for us, so they kind of walk right past her, and she misses that. She yearns for being the person that she used to be. And the whole moral, the whole point is that I was happy the way I was. You could still get your wings, but life was fine the way it was. I don't need all of this stuff. We've seen it done better. We've seen it done, some people would say worse. I don't think so. I think this may be the worst guardian angel story that's ever been put to fucking TV. And the decisions are just mind-boggling. This is the only Twilight Zone episode in history of all 156 that has a laugh track in it. And yes, I know that in subsequential airings, if you watch it on Sci-Fi Channel, let's say if for some reason it plays on the 4th of July and you see it come on, there will not be a laugh track. They've edited it out in repeat aired viewings. They've edited out the laugh track. However, if you have this Blu-ray, you can watch it. It's an audio setting on the disc, and you can watch it with the laugh track. Now, I suffered through this episode for this Grande's Graveyard episode twice. Just to be fair, I listened to it with the laugh track and without the laugh track. And you want to know something? Come closer. Come closer. It fucking sucks no matter which one you watch. It's horrible either way. Okay, with the laugh track, it's not fucking funny. And then without it, the actors are pausing to wait for the laugh track that's not playing. So there'll be a joke. Oh, you couldn't do that in 90 million years. And you see Jesse kind of wait. Then he speaks. It's like he's waiting for the fucking laugh track that's not there. So in a way, despite the fact that there never should have been a laugh track ever in a Twilight Zone episode, it doesn't play well without it because the actors are fucking waiting for the laugh track to end. So there's a ton of dead air in the episode of the two people. Making a joke. Then he says his line, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and then if you watch it with the laugh track, it's hardy, hard. You don't laugh. It's your stonewall fucking. You're like, what in the hell is this? You're basically like Winston Churchill the whole time, just watching with a fucking stone face. There's no enjoyment to be had. But the icing on the cake. The reason that this makes a bottom 10, and the reason that, to me, this is one of the all-time worst Twilight Zone episodes, and it's actually amazing it didn't make it in the top 5. This is number 6. This is the Bubble Boy of the top 5, was the letter that Rod Serling sent to Carol Burnett after this aired, or before it aired. I'm sorry. It was in post-production. This was before it aired. This is a exclusive insert from the Mark Zickery Twilight Zone Companion. I brought this up here because this letter, to me, is like, it has to be fucking heard to be believed. So, and I quote, this is Rod Serling's letter to Carol Burnett. The show you did for us is not good, and it's not bad, which makes it lousy. With a combination of talents like yours and Jesse's, it should have been a walloping success. That it isn't. Points up to the fact that you were done wrong by all concerned. The script, I guess, is a part of the trouble, but even more culpable is the direction from Christian Nebe, who, yeah, I know you sort of directed A Thing from Another World, but you also directed Showdown with Ransom McGrew and Cavender is Coming, Cuming. This was quite the most heavy-handed, ham-fisted, squarest directing I've ever cried through. God knows when it's scheduled for. And I hope you'll be on a ferry boat someplace and won't have to see it. I promise you that if I'm given a second chance, I'll make it up to you. End quote. Rod Serling took the time to write that letter to Carol Burnett. Now, I can't confirm this, but history has it that the letter continues, and he also offers to buy her a pastrami sandwich in the letter. Carol Burnett infamously replied, "I didn't think the episode was that bad, but I don't like pastrami." And that was it. That was the end of their working relationship. They never worked. He never got the second chance to make it up to Carol Burnett. Carol Burnett ever came anywhere near the Twilight Zone again. And I don't blame her. I don't. And I know she was a big fan of the show. And like, here's the thing. We looked at a Once Upon a Time that was written specifically for Buster Keaton and his talents and what he accomplished. And I'm not trying to take those accomplishments away. Buster was a legend, and Buster of his time was one of the biggest stars. There's no doubt. Carol Burnett was blossoming at this time. And let's write a comedy episode around her because of her comedic timing. I get the idea. I get the ideology. But my rebuttal to that, my counter to that, was in this very same season 3, you have an episode called A Game of Pool. And A Game of Pool is in my top 2. It's my number 2 favorite Twilight Zone episode of all time. You have Jack Klugman, one of the MVPs of the Twilight Zone. And to me, most importantly, Jonathan Winters, who was known for his stand-up comedian acts. He was known for his comedic acting. He was Mirth from Earth, if you were a Mork and Mindy fan. I love Jonathan Winters. May he rest in peace. Great, great talent. They didn't want him because he was too funny for the role. He wasn't serious enough for the role. Buck Houghton dismissed it, said, "Jonathan Winters for Fats Brown? How the hell could we ever do that?" No, he dismissed it. And then he saw Jonathan audition and said, "There's nobody else that's going to take this part. It's got to be Jonathan Winters." And Jonathan Winters, there's a great commentary on this Blu-ray disc of Jonathan Winters talking about his performance for the show. And he said, "It was the only time in my life I got to do something outside of the comedic realm, and I got to show that there's more to me than just the laughs." And it's a great performance, and it's really a great story to me. And to me, in my opinion, why not try the same with Carol? Why not? Maybe, I don't know if Buster Keaton could have did it. Maybe he could have. I don't know. But, that's neither here nor there. That's a horse of a different color, a cavender of a different cum. Carol Burnett, like, why not? I understand why you went comedic with it, but at the same time, why not see what she's got? Why not go the serious route here? Why not see what Carol has to offer, because she was a big fan of the show? And let's face it, the people that are big fans of the Twilight Zone don't generally point to the comedy efforts. It just pisses me off about it. Like, I think like you wasted a great talent in Carol Burnett. And I would second that. Rod mentions Jesse White. I think Jesse White's really good too. And I think he's been in other zones. And in fact, he might even be in Once Upon a Time. I'm not positive about that. I forget if he's the guy that's fixing the helmet or not. But man, this is a disgrace. It really is. You can make the argument that it's worse than some of the ones that I've had on here. Part of me gives it the pass just because I have Carol Burnett. Like, at least I could watch Carol Burnett for 25 minutes and it's over. Like, as far as sounds and silences, you don't have a Carol Burnett there. As far as Rance McGrew, you don't have, like, to me, it's like, I don't know. I think she somewhat softens the blow, but it's quite bad. Yes, Bagheera from Disney's The Jungle Book, Tarzan Yell. Okay. Why the hell would you try to launch a fucking sitcom pilot on the Twilight Zone? That's a point I forgot to mention. They wanted that for Beavis too. The idea for Beavis and the idea for Cavander's Coming was to set a spin-off show where the respective guardian angels were week in and week out going to work with different people. So the idea was to get Jesse White a show where he played Cavern the Angel every week. There is no fucking kidding yourself why that didn't happen. I love Mr. Beavis. I know people look at me like I'm crazy when I don't bury that episode. I don't hate it either. Like, compared to this, it's a Wonderful Life compared to Cavender's Coming. Like, to me, it is so much better. But people hate that one. That's like a lot. If you watch many top 10 worst, or I don't know, there's really not too many top 10 worst Twilight Zone episodes out there, or videos, I should say. But Beavis is almost always going to be mentioned, and it's a shame because I don't think it's that bad. Jesse White was also in what he was in Once Upon a Time. Okay, I didn't notice. I was like, I thought I saw him upon a rewatch, but it's such a brief role. But yeah, isn't that funny? You have a couple directors making multiple appearances. You have Rod Serling making multiple appearances in the writer's chair. So yeah, it's a top 10 of multiples. You see a theme. So bad, Mateo. It's so bad. Sandra Gold was in the episode, was the replacement for the actress to play the noisy neighbor Gladys Kravitz on Bewitched. Okay. But you're supposed to laugh with the laugh track. I guess so. I guess I missed that. Rod Serling didn't send me a letter to tell me when to laugh. Your Rod Serling hated this episode, which is, it makes sense. Like, I don't know how you could. And, you know, it's funny. In his letter, he says, again, the script, I guess, is a part of the trouble, but even more culpable is direction. There's no doubt the direction is worse than the script, but like, again, this was a rehash. You already told this story with Beavis, and it had already been told before this with A Wonderful Life and several other, It's a Wonderful Life's been ripped off so many times. They probably have to stop, come up with a new word for it, really. But as far as the worst It's a Wonderful Life ripoff, there's nothing worse than Caverns Coming. Like, it's the worst. It might have been funny as a bit on her show with her regular cast of comedians like Tim Conway. Yes, like Tim Conway. And like, to me, what was great about the Carol Burnett show was sometimes they would break. They would make each other laugh, right? Almost like SNL when they break character. Like, that was a big charm of the Carol Burnett show. It was like revolutionary for comedy. Here, it's just so paint by the numbers. It's so painfully like teeth pulling unfunny. You want a good anthology episode? Just play pool. Yes, exactly. Just play pool. What do you got? Pool Sharks, right? With monsters, that's my favorite second favorite episode of the season 1 of Monsters, and my second favorite episode of the entirety of the Twilight Zone. So yeah, there are some very good there's some very TV episodes that were originally going to be spin off but never happened. Which, let's thank God, the Cavender's Coming never made it to its own television show. But let's move on to number 7. And we get to our first season 1 episode that's going to be mentioned here tonight. First episode from season 1, one of 2. There's 2 season 1 episodes on here. Season 1 episode number 31, the worst episode of season 1, in my opinion, The Chaser. A young man obsessed with winning over an uninterested beauty gets more than he bargained for when he buys a love potion to gain her affection. Yes, I hate this one, man. I truly, truly hate this one. When we reviewed it, I remember Anthony was a lot more lenient on it than I was, but I gave it a D at the time. This is an F. This is a failure. This is not a good Twilight Zone episode. Its only redemption is the director, Douglas Hayes, who I love. I think one of, if not the best Twilight Zone directors was Douglas Hayes. It's him or Brom or Kulik. Take your pick between those 3. All 3 of those guys are just great. But Douglas Hayes visually was the best Zone director. Like, to me, the guy that like, if you want to watch the show visually, watch not Obsolete Man. Watch The Howling Man. Watch episodes similar to I mean, there is some good visuals in this, so I don't deny that at all. But Douglas Hayes, man, tremendous director. And he's the only saving grace. He's the reason it's at number 7 and not in the bottom 5. Like, I will say that off the bat. Fun fact, this was the only episode in season 1 that was not written by a Charles Beaumont, a Richard Matheson, or a Rod Serling. The big 3 of 36 episodes that aired in season 1, only one of the 36. All 35 others were written by Beaumont, Serling, or Matheson. This was the one that was written by Robert Presnell Jr., based on a short story by John Collier. This is you're basically generic, awful love potion story where we have our lead character played by George Grizzard, who you might remember from The Golden Girls. He played Big Daddy on The Golden Girls, Blanche's father, which I noticed that every time I watch this episode. And I believe he'd go on to be in The Parallel from season 4. He's a good actor. It's not really his fault. And this is your typical terrible love story episode where this guy is obsessed with this woman who, funny enough, is played by Patricia Barry, who was in the I Dream of Jeannie. So Patricia Barry makes it in her only 2 zones, both of them on the bottom 10 worst episodes of all time. So sorry, Patricia. Very beautiful lady, and I can understand why he had a crush on you in this episode. But yeah, not a good one. So the episode opens, he's making phone calls, he's holding up a line. This guy pays all these people to jump the line. He gets to him, he says, listen, I have to make a call. He goes, what are you doing? He goes, well, I'm trying to get the affection of this woman that I love. She's so beautiful. Her name is Lila. I'm trying to win her over. And the guy says, if you want to win her over, go see this professor. And he gives him a card, and he goes to see a professor named A. Damon. And if you look at it, you hear it, say it enough times, A. Damon, A demon. Oh, okay, very fun play on words, Mr. Presnell. There's no fucking reason. There's a goddamn reason they didn't bring you back to write any other Twilight Zone episodes. It's so on the nose, terrible. And it's played by John McIntyre. And you get the only scene in this episode worth of shit where he enters the, I guess, book factory of this guy's house. Like he opens the door, you see nothing but a door down the hallway. You don't see anything where he could walk. He opens and there's a great grand shot of all these potions and books and things like that this guy has. That's the only saving grace of this episode. It's the reason it's at number 7. Otherwise, I think this sucks. He goes up to A. Damon and says, hey, I need love potion. I need this woman to fall in love with me. And the guy says, oh, love potion's the cheapest thing I got. It's $1 and it shouldn't even be that. And he keeps trying to sell him this glove cleaner. Please buy this glove cleaner. It's $1,000. Please buy it. He goes, no. I need Layla's love. Like, give me the love potion. So he buys the love potion. He says, put it in her drink, make her drink it, and then she'll love you instantly. So he goes over. He begs to get into the house. She begrudgingly lets him in. They begrudgingly have a drink. She kicks him out. And as she's kicking him out, she goes, wait a minute. I don't know what's come over me. I love you now. And it's your classic. And listen, this story's been done since the beginning of time. Hell, there's a movie right now out in the cinemas that is making almost $400 million on the whole love potion idea and obsession, right? Instead of a love potion, it's a, pussy willow thing, whatever the fuck. I hated that movie. And we'll be talking about it next week, not in a review form, but more so in a overall form. But it's proof that I don't like this. I don't like this concept that it can be done shitty in 1960. It can be done terrible in 2026. It can be done no matter what time it is. But he gives her the thing, and then the next thing you know, they rush through the honeymoon phase. It's 6 months later, they're married, and he's sick and tired of her. Wow, I couldn't have seen that coming. She's dawdling over him. Oh, are you going to leave? Where are you going to go? I love you. Can you tell me how much you love me? Blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. Then you get back to Professor A. Damon. He goes to him and says, listen, I need a way to kill her. I don't want to do this anymore. I regret what I wished for. I don't want to do it anymore. And he goes ahead and says, listen, the glove cleaner will do the trick. That'll be $1,000. So he ends up getting $1,000. He pays for the thing, and he's going to kill her via lethal glove cleaner / poison. And that's his whole plan, to break them up and get rid of her, right? Once and for all. And the big twist is, oh, look, I'm pregnant. And he doesn't poison her. And you get the idea that he's going to live the rest of his life a miserable man. Horrible. This is horrible fucking writing. To first and foremost, the whole love potion thing, like you couldn't have done it more generic. You maybe could have done it more vanilla. Obsession is a little bit more vanilla than this, but it's so generic. Like, okay, we rush through the parts where he's happy. Like, it's all I want. It's the only thing I do. It's the only thing I think of. Blah, 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 blah. Then all of a sudden, like literally between commercial breaks, you're already sick of her. Like it feels so unearned. It feels so like, oh, okay, we just did this just to speed up the episode. Like there's never the gradual, I'm getting sick of you. Like that to me absolutely should have been in there. The gradual, move for it, right? The gradual, the eventual, like, I'm sick of you. I don't love you. I don't really care about you. Like that should have happened. It should have been more earned. Here it's just rushed and it's just so pushed. It's like, okay, and now you hate her. Now you want to poison her. Come on, keep it up, keep it going. Oh, dark twist. She's pregnant and you're going to live for the rest of your life and you're not going to poison her. Like, first of all, this guy is a fucking piece of shit. In more ways than one. Like, okay, it's one thing to give somebody a love potion. You're that obsessed with them, blah, blah, blah. You're terrible from that. Like the lady doesn't want to be with you from free will, and then you do it, and then you decide, oh, I'm sick of this. I'm going to kill her. Like, buddy, you are a double piece of shit. They got to invent a new word for the piece of shit that you are. Like, my God, that's terrible. And like all of the direction is really not good, other than visuals. Like, I don't think the acting is particularly good. Patricia Barry is literally just playing a one-note, eye-doling character. Very good to look at, but whatever. George Grizzard, the John McIntyre, people love John McIntyre. I read a lot of reviews where people saying he was the best thing in the episode. Maybe he is. I just don't. To me, this is a shitty one. Like when I think of season 1 of the Twilight Zone, I think it's arguably the most perfect season of television ever. It may just be, despite having 2 entries in the bottom 10, like there are so many great episodes of the first season of the Twilight Zone. And there's a reason that there's so many episodes that preceded it, because it's so well done. But if there's the one black eye on it, to me, the one that like I wish wasn't on season 1, I wish could be moved to season 2, it would be this one. Like this one just, oh God, I don't like this one. I never did. I really do not like The Chaser. It's the one where I get to in season 1 where I'm like, oh man, I'd rather skip this one. This theme sucked here, and it sucked in Tales from the Crypt too. It doesn't really work historically. It doesn't. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible. And I saw that Tom's comment. We'll get into that because I actually watched an episode that Tom mentioned for fun because I watched so many bad Twilight Zones. I decided to watch a good one, but because I already had the disc, in there for watching one of the season 4 ones, and I went, you know what, fuck it, give me Jess Bell. But we'll get there. But yeah, no, I agree. And that's when people say, oh, you're just a hater with the whole because I didn't like Obsession. I'm like, buddy, like I didn't like this even in my favorite show ever made. So I'm not. I promise you, I'm not. Like it just maybe it's the concept, maybe it's the execution. I don't know, but it stinks. In the Tales from the Crypt episode, it had Kathleen Freeman, who was known for playing the Penguin in the Blues Brothers. Yes, Kathleen Freeman. A. Damon sounds like a man I could trust. Is there a bad top 10 bad Twilight Zone episodes? Pat is in the house. The answer is yes, Pat. We're counting them down right here and right now, my friend. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and part of me it's hard for me because again, of all shows that there's ever been, there's none that I love more than this. So to rag on it, to be bad or negative, it feels quite weird. I think I've done over 10 episodes of not Granny's Graveyards exactly, but I've done over 10 videos on this channel talking about the show. All of them have been positive until now. So I figured it would be just something fun. The 4th of July marathon's coming up. I just figured, like, to me, 4th of July equals the Twilight Zone. Like that always correlates to me. That Crypt episode is bottom of the barrel of that show. It really is. That was a horrible one too. And I would say that the new Obsession, I thought that sucked too. So like, to me, you can do this really, really wrong. I wasn't crazy about The Chaser either. Same storyline you always see, like Tales from the Crypt episode, Love to Death, which I didn't like either. Let's see. Jess Bell was better. Love Potion episode. Yes, I love Jess Bell. Like Jess Bell is really good. I love Anne Francis in it. There's something about Jess Bell that's really hypnotic. Like to me, like, and what I think is great about that one too. And if I do another folk horror special, I'd love to review Jess Bell, like just solo, with some other folk horror movies. It's the most folk-like Twilight Zone. It's so good. Like I love that one. I really do. Let's see. Till Death is a better Crypt episode with a love potion. Yes. Give her once, she'll be your wife. Give her two, she'll be yours for life. Something like that. I love that line. Season 1, it has my all-time favorite, The Stop at Willoughby. Oh man, Stop at Willoughby's great, and that did make my top 10 of all time. So I don't know if you were watching Grinders Gear when I did the top 10 a year ago, but that does make the list. Stop at Willoughby is on my top 10 ever. The guy was stuck to the bowl, piece of shit. Yeah, I guess he was. He was the corn turd that wouldn't flush, like the one that just stayed above. Totally agree. Till Death is a great episode. Great taste. Absolutely great taste. Great taste. I just did Judgment Night. Great episode. Judgment Night is, yes, he's on the boat, right? And it's the German boat, and he knows it's going to be sank. That's an early season 1 episode. That's a good one for sure. The Chaser, though, is not. It's not a good season 1 episode, unfortunately. But let's move on to number 8. Number 8, our last season 4 episode here. Season 4, episode 5, talking about Mute. Ilsa, the orphan daughter of telepathic parents, must learn to speak and deal with a world in which she cannot communicate. Now, of all 156 Twilight Zone episodes, while this is the number 8 worst, and I think it's totally deserving, and you could argue that it should be higher on this list. I think what you have here is the single weirdest episode of the Twilight Zone. I don't think there's an episode weirder than this one. Like, I think this is the most abstract zone that they ever did. And there may be some people that gravitate towards it like I gravitate towards a Come Wander With Me. Like, I always think Come Wander With Me is one of the more underrated ones just because of the atmosphere, the aesthetic, the Bonnie Beecher song. I'm Floyd Morning, the Rockabilly Boy. I love Come Wander With Me. Donner directing did a really good job, in my opinion. I know people don't like it. It is what it is. This, to me, though, it takes the cake of weird. The episode right at the bat, it opens up in Dusseldorf, Germany, which every time I see, I just laugh. Like, Dusseldorf. Oh, we're in Dusseldorf, goddammit. We watch these bunch of fucking pretentious, pompous assholes sitting around a table, and they're talking about, okay, we wanted to create a society of people that only communicate through mind telepathy, and none of them can verbally speak, and we want to set this up. We want to raise our kids this way. We want to teach them to speak, so this way we can all meet 10 years down the road and start a society where no one uses verbal words to speak. Why? I don't fucking know. I feel like it's like the Big Lebowski. It don't matter to Jesus. I don't fucking care. You got a date Wednesday, baby. Like, bring out John Turturro to ask these fucking people why. Why? What? Who in the hell? Why? What is the reason? Not a reason. Okay. Fast forward 10 years down the road, Ilsa and her family have moved to the United States, and she's being taught only, to be a fucking telepathic motherfucker. The house that they're living in burns down, and this couple that also happened to be a part of this meeting, they go there, they take her in, and the whole thing is that, they had lost their daughter in a drowning accident, right? And they play back, and to me, the biggest problem with this episode, and there's a lot of problems, is the two actors that play the parents. Frank Overton, who's been in Better Zones. He was in Walking Distance, if you remember. He plays Martin's dad. He's the dad at the end that says, try looking ahead. Try looking to what life has in store for you coming up. Stop looking backwards. Look forwards. It's that actor. He does a great job in that episode. He is asleep here. It may be the worst Twilight Zone performance of all time. Frank Overton as the father in this is terrible. He is fucking asleep. I have seen comatose fucking patients in hospitals that have more life and energy to them than Frank Overton does in this role. He stinks. Barbara Baxley is batshit insane in this as the mom who's grieving the loss of her child that drowned, and now all of a sudden this fucking mute child has fallen into her lap because her parents' house burned down, and now she takes her in and by all costs will not let anybody hear about it, right? He starts to write letters to try to notify people that the parents are gone. Can somebody come please claim this kid? She burns the letters because she wants her daughter child back. What a crazy bitch. You are a crazy bitch. That is not your kid. And I understand what they're trying to say about grief and what would you do to get a child back. I get it, but her performance is so batshit crazy and she's so over the top and bad. It's torture. It's real literal torture to watch their acting in this. The scene where they flash back to, oh, your daughter drowned is one of the worst acted scenes I've seen in this entire show. She's cooking shit in the kitchen. They get a knock on the back door. She opens, and then this guy with no emotion says, hey, she was drowning. She was swimming in the lake, and she drowned. Hands this lady her dead child, and she just goes, ah! She fucking screams, throws her arm up, literally screams bloody murder. You would have thought this bitch got fucking electrocuted. Like, she screamed like a fucking maniac. And then it's inadvertently funny. Like, I laughed. I was like, Jesus, that's so bad and poorly acted that I laughed. I shouldn't be laughing. And the rest of this episode is, oh, we're going to put her in regular school despite the fact that she can't fucking talk. We put her in this school, and the teacher's this fucking horrible lady that, spoiler alert, also grew up as being taught to be this mute person. And that's it. And there's no reason, there's no rhyme, there's no comeuppance for the teacher. There's nothing to be had. And it all culminates to Ilsa finally breaking down and screaming, my name is Ilsa. Buddy, it doesn't matter what your name is, jabroni. You know what I want you to do, mute? I want you to take that ruler in the classroom. I want you to shine it up real nice. I want you to turn that son bitch sideways and stick it straight up your candy ass. You stink. Mute stinks. This is a horrible episode of the Twilight Zone. It really is. It's so fucking weird. It doesn't have any, 50 fucking minutes of this shit, 51 minutes, and it's like there's really no positive to be had. Maybe the fact that this inspired, again, it inspired Stephen King. Firestarter was something that was inspired by this, and also Carrie was inspired by this. He has fucking apparently said that over the years. So I don't know. I do not see it. Like, this is horrendous episode of the Twilight Zone. And to me, the biggest thing, like the most wild part, is it ends where she's happy-go-lucky, she's with her new mommy, and they're walking out, and they're making it like what this lady did was okay. Like, you basically abducted this child because you lost your own and like forced her into your household, and like, well, what a crazy bitch. And they're like, oh, isn't this a sentimental, what a sentimental value. No, this lady's a fucking crazy bitch. She's probably going to drive her to insanity, but it's neither here nor there. I hate Mute. Mute sucks. Mute is absolutely horrible fucking episode of Twilight. So it is the weirdest too. It really is. Willoughby, next stop, Willoughby, Way, Willoughby where? Yet another one that didn't need to be an hour. It really didn't. You could have told this in 25 minutes. Granted, it's so fucking weird that I don't think I ever would have approved it. I would have been like, this needs a rewrite or something. Like, it should have ultimately ended with the teacher getting her comeuppance for treating this girl like shit. And it never happens. The teacher gets away scot-free. It's not even about that. It's about Ilsa and her craziness. Gary Crosby twanging. I like Gary. Here's your dad. Yeah. She was swimming in the lake. That's all he says. He just goes, she was swimming in the lake. And she just goes, ah! She just fucking screams out of the top of her lungs. It doesn't work. Not a oh my God or a realization of shock. She just immediately, it's like she got electrocuted. Yeah, season 4 is the worst. Season 4 is absolutely the worst. Like, a lot of people say season 5. I don't agree at all. I think season 4 is absolutely the worst. Like, don't get me wrong. Season 5 has the most middle of the road episodes. It has the least amount of great episodes and has the most amount of middle of the roads. But I don't think they have necessarily. There's only one episode for season 5 that made this list. Now, there's one that got off scot-free that was going to make the list, but yeah, again, that was basically upon rewatching some of these. I would say season 4 probably is just because a lot of them are boring and they just drag. The hour format was a mistake. Yeah, season 4 sounded rough. Yeah, it is rough. It is pretty rough. And fortunately for me, that's the last one from season 4 we'll discuss. On to number 9. We got 2 more here. Last one from season 3. This is season 3, episode number 2. This is The Arrival. Yes, The Arrival from season 3, episode 2. Federal aviation investigator Grant Sheckley must deal with a mystery when a plane lands at an airport without pilots, passengers, or luggage. Flight 107 out of Buffalo. This might be the most controversial pick on the list. I don't know, because this is not a low-rated episode. This is not an episode you hear people shit on or praise very much. It's kind of one that is lost in the proverbial shuffle. And I can see why, because I think it kind of sucks. Like, it's an episode where the setup, with 9 and 10, I think you have good setups, poor execution. Like, that's 9 and 10 totally have that in common. I think they're really good ideas that could have been really well done, but this one sucks. Like, I just don't like it. So the episode starts where this plane lands from Buffalo, lands in this hangar, and there's no pilot, there's no passengers, there's no luggage, and they're all like, what the fuck? They bring in this inspector who is played by Harold J. Stone, and I have a great record over 20 years. I am holier than thou. I can't be stumped. No one can stump me. Blah, 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 blah. He's just tooting his own horn. Gets there, and the whole idea is he's trying to figure out, why did this plane land without any people? Where did they go? Did they go missing? What happened? What is the mystery of this plane? What the fuck happened? And the middle of the episode, they kind of touch on an interesting concept where everyone sees something different, right? One of them sees the seats as red. One of them sees them as blue. One of them sees a different serial number on the plane. Like, I liked where it was going. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, is this a situation where everyone's seeing something different? Is this the horror of mass suggestion or the horrors of interpretation? Maybe something along those lines. Like, those would have been very much better avenues to go down. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I love the idea of horrors of interpretation. To me, that's the beauty of horror genre, is the horrors of interpretation. And if you need to look any further, the short that I directed, when we have the woman in yellow at the end, I had the dresses change color. We did red, we did purple, we went back to yellow. And that was my entire goal for that, was to tell the horror of interpretation, right? Horror is interpreted and perceived so many different ways, right? It's completely, what's the word I'm looking for? It's completely subjective, right? It's completely something that it depends on the person, right? Some people are going to find certain comedies really funny. Some people are going to find certain horror movies scary. And then there'll be other people that go, I don't see what you saw. I don't see it. And to me, there's a lot you could do with a concept like that. And I loved that they started there. They were like, okay, everyone's seeing something different. And then his big plan is, hey, I'm going to stand in front of the propellers, put my hand in, and my theory is the plane's not really here. And he does. If the plane disappears, then all the people in the hangars disappear, and we get a horrendously bad ending where it's nothing like that. It's not the horrors of interpretation. It's not the horrors of mass suggestion. Nothing along those lines. He goes into this fucking office, and they tell him, Flight 107 out of Buffalo 17 years ago went missing, and it's clearly haunting him to this day. He can never get over the one case that he let get away, right? It was a plane that went missing in the fog 18 years ago, and he's reliving it in a modern day, I guess, interpretation of this flight landing from Buffalo with nobody on it. It's such a contrived mess of an ending that it just makes you go like, what? Like, all of that buildup, all these good ideas, all these concepts, a Twilight Zone-like guess from the protagonist, right? That this is not really here, right? For a Twilight Zone protagonist to guess something that would be a Twilight Zone twist, I thought was really cool. I was like, oh, that's you don't see that very much. Only for the ending to be, no, there's no supernatural element in this whatsoever. You were just fucking, I guess, grieving, or I guess couldn't get over the fact that you lost this one plane all these years ago. Kind of weak. I think that's kind of weak. And to me, for this show, it's such an like underwhelming finish. Like, it's like, oh, really? Like, that's where we went with this? Like, where's the imagination here? And this is a Rod Serling script that didn't work. Boris Segal directs this one. I don't think he does necessarily a bad job. It just is one of those episodes that I've always wanted more from. It's one of those where it may not be technically worse than a Black Leather Jackets or a From Agnes with Love, but it's more frustrating to me because those other two, at least there's charm, and how, like, Black Leather Jackets to me it's become one of those episodes. It's so bad it's kind of funny. Whereas, and same with From Agnes with Love, whereas The Arrival, I don't feel that way at all. I think it's such a, oh man, you had something here, like you dropped it. Like, to me, it's better to be charmingly bad than to have potential and drop the fucking ball before you cross the pylon. Like, that's just my opinion, though. The Arrival, just not a good one. This one makes no sense, to be honest. Yeah, I'm with you. It doesn't. It's just nothing. It to me had a really good idea. I remember when I first watched this one, I was like, oh, where are we going with this? And to get to the end where I was like, man, that's a shitty ending. Like, this is one where the ending really hurts it. This episode feels like a precursor to the opening in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is a lot better than this. Just a lot of talking. Yeah, and talking, but without, there's no payoff. There's really no, oh man, that, like, what a great ending that was. It's a shitty ending. So I don't know. That's number 9. We finally get to number 10, the last episode of the Twilight Zone to make the top 10 worst. And I see that, Tom, before we get there, Black Leather Jackets was my worst episode, Alien Motorcycle Gang. Yes, I had a feeling, and I'll be honest with you, when I first reviewed it, I gave it an F. And I rewatched it this week for the show, almost positive it was going to be in the lower half of the top 10. But again, as bad as it is, I laughed with it. I was laughing with it. I was like, I got more enjoyment out of this than I did out of The Arrival, or out of Mute, or out of the number 10 slot movie. Is it King Nai Will Not Return? It is not King Nai Will Not Return. The number 10, the last episode we'll talk about here tonight, is from season 1. This was the first episode of the Twilight Zone of the 1960s. It aired on January the 1st of 1960. This is The Four of Us Are Dying. Brief plot synopsis. A man who can magically change his face to look like any other man uses his ability to improve his life regardless of the effect it has on others. Now, right off the bat, another really interesting concept. And dare I say it, despite the theme of season 4 sucked and a lot of these episodes were too long, this is the number 1 Twilight Zone episode that needed to be an hour. And it's, unfortunately, the 25-minute runtime. Like, I think you could have totally got an hour out of this, because what it's doing is telling the story of this man who can change his face to anything he wants. Any person he sees, any person he wants to imitate, he could change his face to them. And to me, you're tackling 4 different people, hence The Four of Us Are Dying, because by the end he does die. Big spoiler alert if you didn't read the title. Like, I would have liked to spend more time with these people. The whole episode just feels fucking rushed. Like, okay, you're past the first person, get on to the second guy. Okay, get on to the second. Oh, you're on to the third guy. Get back to the fucking hotel. Get to the 4th guy, and then we're gonna end it. Like, it feels like such a rush job. And it's not to say that John Brahm, the director, who, again, one of the best Zone directors, if not the best, doesn't direct it well. I think he directs it well. It has a very noir type feel to it. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to really like that. And I don't mind that as part of the episode as well. To me, this one just has some really fatal flaws that make it one of my least favorite zones. And flaw number 1, you could change your face, right? You could change your face. How the fuck are you changing your voice to sound like these fucking people? Like, his whole gimmick is, I could change my face to anybody, but then sits down and sounds like them too. Like, that always thought, I was like, that's kind of lame. Like, I don't really, that doesn't work. And also, my biggest problem is why? Why was he doing this? There's never a reason, a rhyme, a why. And I know the synopsis says to improve his life. Where does that happen? Where does he improve his life? The first one, oh, I see I see this lady that lost the love of her life, and the love of her life is actually played by Ross Martin, who again was in better Twilight Zone episodes than this one. He confronts her at a nightclub, and oh my god, I thought you were dead. Blah blah blah. Basically, schmoozes her over. I'm going to meet you at midnight, honey. This is all going to be great. I love you. I love you, and walks away. And his idea is just to leave her hanging. Like, who I don't get that. What was the point of that? Was it to just make her life miserable? Was it just to, like, it almost feels like Andy Kaufman humor. Like no one's going to get it except me. I find it funny that I've just led this lady on and humiliated her, and I'm going to leave her standing by the train station all night. Like, what was the purpose of doing that? How does that improve his life? Is he just doing it for a sick sadistic kick? If that's one thing, that's I think interesting, but it's never really said in the episode. It's not like he goes back and goes, that bitch, I just ruined her life. Like, I honestly think it needed something like that because, again, it just feels so unearned. It's like, okay, why did you waste your time doing that? Like, what the fuck? The next one, I'll play a gangster that got killed. And I'll walk into this guy's house and say, where's my share? I'll spook him. It seems like he's more so there just to spook them than it is to get the money or improve his life, as this fucking terrible plot synopsis says. I don't see that either. He just the whole time just bashing the guy, and kind of runs out. He doesn't even have the money, so the money didn't matter to him. Runs down a dark alley. He sees a boxer on the wall. I'll put his face on. Puts his face on. And who else would he run into but the boxer's dad? Very conveniently, the guy's in the middle of fucking nowhere in this dark alley and changes his face to a random boxer on the fucking wall, turns around, hey, Pops, it's the guy's fucking dad. And apparently that boxer's a horrible piece of shit, and he's treated his family horribly and his fiance horribly, and he's this terrible, unfathomably bad human being. And the father says, fuck you, and shoots him dead in the street. And the episode ends where each person he portrayed kind of flashes, and the four of us are dying. We have this very mean-spirited ending to me, a bad episode. Like, okay, again, there are redemption, like John Brom's direction, the noir feel, it has positives in it, but to me, that concept is really good. Why was there no motive? Why does the whole thing just feel like rushed? I swear to you, the episode feels like 5 minutes of each thing. It's like, we'll do 5 minutes with the woman, 5 minutes with the gangster, 5 minutes with the dad, 5 minutes back in the apartment, then 5 minutes with the dad again where he shoots you. Like, it's so unfocused. It just feels like it didn't have a good enough time to breathe. And like, to me, this would have worked in the hour long, and to give this guy a motive and to also explain somehow, some way of how he sounds like these people. That's a big, I'm just like, what? Like, I don't know, maybe if he can impersonate them, or he heard clips of them and tried to like impersonate them, maybe he can mimic the voices as well. Like, something to explain that too. But there's really no reason or why to me. That's my problem with this episode. Again, good concept, good director, decent shot. Like, it's better made than some movies that didn't, or episodes that didn't make this list. However, it's more frustrating to me than they are. That's my 2 cents. But that's just number 9 and 10. They kind of fall in that same category where I sat down. I'm like, yeah, Black Leather Jackets isn't technically as good as this, but I had somewhat, I laughed at it. I could laugh at it. This where I'm more like, huh? Like, I'm more upset by it. So I don't know. I can't. That's my best explanation here. I actually like this one. Yeah, no, you're not alone. This in number 9. That's the fun of doing this backwards. You're going to hear more, like, as the list went on. You'll probably get ones that are more and more liked, and that's, again, out of 19 episodes that were considered, I mean, out of 156 really that were eligible, only 19 were batted around. And this one, when I first pulled it up, I was like, I don't think this will make it. And then I rewatched it. I'm like, man, I don't like that one. Like, it's just so, I just kind of like, like when it ends. I will agree, it would have been better if it was longer. I love the noir theme of it. Yeah, and it's well done. Like, I will say the noir, like Brom nailed that. Just like, it's so rushed. Like, this one needed the hour. I think if anything, if you're going to rehash ideas from season 1, instead of remaking Mr. Beavis with Cavender's Coming, why not remake this? Like, do the 5 of us are dying, add another person in there and just have it like breathe a little bit. Maybe we can learn a little bit behind the man who makes the faces. Like, I would have liked to have known more about that, but this one it feels like there's just no rhyme or reason, and it kind of hurts it. Some really cool shots too. Yeah, no, I agree. Really like the ending. See, I don't like the ending. I think the ending is so contrived. It's so, of course he ran into the guy's dad. Of course the guy was a piece of shit. Of course he shoots him dead. Like, it just feels too too convenient. Like it's just like, oh man, I like that. I think he's just a sleazebag. Like, okay, if that's the case, I would be all with it, but it's never said. And it also doesn't seem, it seems like he's just going to not go. Like, it seems like he's like, I'll see you there. At least it feels like more he's getting a kick out of fucking with these people, which would be fine. Say it. Somebody say it. Like, so, or just like make me understand it. Like, I don't know. Jeff is here. Hey, Grotty in the Graveyard. Was wondering if you know where to get the tape recorder from A World of His Own, Season 1, Episode 36. Have a great night. Enjoy the 4th. Be safe, my friend. Hey, Jeff, I hope you're feeling better, number one. Number two, I love that episode. Her name is Mary. Oh man, A World of His Own is great. You know, it's funny because I sat down with my dad before I made my list. And I was like, man, what ones would you consider off the top of your head? And one of the first ones he said was A World of His Own. I was like, really? I was like, why? He's like, I just think it's silly. I was like, I love A World of His Own. I think that's one of the better season 1 episodes. Really good one. The main guy in the episode is also in Shadow Play, which I know you love. Shadow Play is a lot better than this. Yeah. Let's see. The only one in my worst 5 you didn't mention was the Casey episode. Your line, 6 sadistic kick could be a Marilyn Manson. It's like, yeah, I guess so. It's Marilyn Manson instead of sweet dreams are made of. And to comment on Casey was a troubled production. Casey was. It's bad. It's really bad. But again, I can laugh at it's just so fucking bad that I'm like, what the fuck? Like the whole Android pitcher and the scene where he's throwing all the different types of pitches. This is the best pitcher I've ever caught. You know, the ending of that one's really bad. Like there's something about that one though that I don't know. I never hated it like most people, but it's bad. I will never defend it. Like it's probably in the bottom 25, 30. But it wasn't, I really didn't even have it in the bottom 19. I did it. I looked at my Casey and it's like another one where just like Black Leather Jackets, where I get it. I see it's bad, but I don't hate it. Like that's the difference between me. Like if I have like hatred towards something, it's more worthy of being on the list as opposed to if you're talking just straight up quality, like no personal feelings. Yeah, Mighty Casey might be in the bottom 10. Awesome, best of the worst, if you will count down. Only yes, if you will, baby. This was a classic. There was a classic Disney short called Duck Pimples that almost feels like a pre-Twilight Zone episode where Donald Duck is reading a mystery box and these characters jump out of the book. I've never seen that. Which ones barely missed the cut? Okay, so the 30 Fathom Grave barely missed the cut. I had that on the list originally. Black Leather Jackets barely missed the cut. Had that on the list originally. The one that I thought was 100% making the list, and then I rewatched it, and I honestly came around. I was like, you know what? As bad as this one is, there are worse, and there's ones that pissed me off more. Was The Thing About Machines. When I first sat down and made a list, The Thing About Machines was like number 8, and it went all the way down to like number 12. Like it eventually got out of there. And then I can pull it up. I have the list of 19 because I made sure I separated it. The list of 19 Twilight Zone episodes that I had here. The Jungle. I know a lot of people love The Jungle. I don't. And I really should. The Jungle to me is one of the interesting episodes where it's talking about the horrors of ignorance, right? Here you have this guy who works for this New York company and they're trying to take over this land in Africa, and they get this black magic curse, and he comes home and his wife has all these things to prevent the curse from getting them. He throws it away, and the entire episode basically is the guy trying to get home from work, and all this weird crazy shit happens, and it's basically trying to play out like a horror themed, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then the twist is he gets home and there's a killer lion on the bed. That's the end of the episode. It kills him. Like, love the idea, don't like the episode. Like, to me, it very much suffers from the direction. Again, not a bad director that directed it, but like, to me, you look at a perfect example would be Four Flies in Grey Velvet. Look at Dario Argento's direction in Four Flies in Grey Velvet, and that park sequence where the woman's waiting in the park and you know that the killer is out there and they're just kind of scoping her out. And the way that they kind of set it up where you see the kids in the playground, you see the kids at the fountain, you see all these people walking around this busy park until it's not busy anymore, until it's just you and the killer. You're all alone. That's how you do suspense. That's how you lead up. That's how you pay off. Whereas The Jungle, I just don't think does that. I think it's just, it doesn't work to me, but people love it. I that's fine. The other one, I Am the Night, Colory Black. I always wanted to like that episode. I just think it's so poorly executed. Black Leather Jackets was on there. 16 Millimeter Shrine was on there. And anything else? Static and King 9 Will Not Return. Those are the other ones that didn't didn't make the cut. But those are all episodes that I consider to be either average or bad. Static would be my top 10. Yeah, Static is bad. Static made the 19. The thing with Static, I give it somewhat of a break because it was shot on Shittio, as if you will. It was one of the 6 episodes that they cut the money for it. So I can give it that pass. Like maybe if it was shot properly, it wouldn't be as bad. I will say this though, it's possibly the number one most forgotten zone. Like that's the zone that nobody ever talks about. It's like that one never happened. Like even the one with the car, which I'm shocked no one brought up the whole truth, which is almost on every another one. I don't hate it. I don't hate the whole truth. That one I don't mind. But Static, it's like that's the zone that nobody remembers. It really is, and it's bad. It's bottom 15. I had it on the bottom 19 total, so it's probably bottom 15. There was also Twilight Zone from the 2000s. Forrest Whitaker, that's right. There's Jessica Simpson episode. There's a Katherine Heigl episode where they send her back in time to kill Hitler, but Hitler's an infant and she can't do it. Like the 2000s Twilight Zone, there's some decent ones. There's definitely some really good ones, and then there's some ones that just suck. And the 80s one of the revivals is probably the best. And then the Jordan Peele one, I think, sucks. I watched the first season of that and was like, I will never watch this again. This is terrible. Awesome show. Thank you, Mateo. I know a lot of people didn't like the Forrest Whitaker Twilight Zones, but I really do. I'm with you. I like them too. I don't think they were that bad. I think they're a lot better than the fucking Jordan Peele ones. Last Night the Jockey usually makes the word. That, again, bad one, but brother, if you have this or if you have the DVD or whatever, if there's the commentary with Mickey Rooney on it, watch that episode with the Mickey Rooney commentary. You will laugh your fucking ass off. It's one of the best commentaries of all time because Mickey Rooney is just in the worst mood of his life. And they're asking him, what do you remember about making the episode? He goes, I remember. It was a long time ago. Like, Mickey Rooney is unhinged, and it is one of the funniest things. And the commentary just abruptly ends like halfway through the episode. He's just like the guy was asking questions, just probably was like, I'm done. Like, I'm not asking this guy any more fucking questions. This guy's nuts. Bye, everybody. Happy 4th. People saying happy 4th. Absolutely. The Jungle, precursor to Jumanji, which Jumanji's a lot better. Yeah, 22 is brilliant. Love it. Also shot on video, Room for One More Honey. A big precursor to Final Destination. The end of that, I always thought that's got to be where James Wong got the idea for Final Destination. So that is what it is. But this has been a lot of fun. Just a brief update because there was a schedule change in Grande's Graveyard moving forward for this month of July. So I'm going to share the screen here. I don't know how well y'all will be able to see it, but I just wanted to share the screen really quick. And see how well you guys can see that. So obviously tonight we did this top 10 worst Twilight Zone episodes. That's awesome. But what you could see here is next week we had to move the Neo Horror Show, which I could show you proof of the reason why. So far, only one of the Neo Horror VHSs has come in the mail. I have Ripper, but I'm still waiting on 3 of the other VHSs. I'm waiting on The Craft. I'm waiting on Do You Want to Know a Secret? And then what the fuck was the other one? The Pool. Those are all on their way, but they haven't come here yet. So I don't know when they're coming. They said they'll be here initially before this week. Didn't come. So I have to put the Neo show back. I'll show you the schedule again. The Neo show is going to end the month now. So instead of next week being Neo Horror Special number 5, next week we're going to be discussing 2026 horror movies and what the future holds for the horror genre moving forward. I'm going to talk a lot about what I feel about the state of the genre right now. I think that's something that we need to talk about. And I felt that this whole shipping discrepancy maybe was a good opportunity to do like an impromptu, let's sit down, let's talk about the genre right here and now episode of Graveyard. So that's what's going to be next week's show. And the Nasty Special, for anybody inquiring about that, because that was initially going to close out the month, I'm just going to push that out to a later date. So the Nasty Special will not be happening in July. I apologize. But the J-Horror Special and the Vampire Special will stay on their regular, program dates and stuff like that, and we will get to all the Japanese and vampire goodness that we can get to. So just wanted to update you all on that. Thanks, Ronnie. Really fun time. Always love discussing anthologies, as do I, my friend. Thank you so much for everybody that joined here tonight. This was a lot of fun comparing and contrasting lists. A lot of fun. And of course, if it's 4th of July and you're watching, if you happen to see one of these bad episodes, there are a couple of them. The Arrival usually will play. I'm sure the 4 of Us Are Dying will play. I don't know if you'll get any of the hour-long ones, but I guarantee you will not see Sound and Silences. You will not see Ransom. I don't think so. I hope not. But if you happen to, I urge you to stay away. That's the time where you should go in the pool on the 4th of July. Great video. Good night, and all enjoy the holiday. Thank you so much, Spooky Girly Ghoul. Happy to have you as a new member of the graveyard. So everybody, thank you so much. I hope you have a safe, happy, healthy weekend, a safe 4th of July. Stay cool out there. I know it's going to be 100 degrees. Don't melt like the midnight sun. And cheers to the all-time greatest show. Despite for 2 hours, we were talking about the worst of it. So everybody, thank you so much, and we will catch you next time only on the graveyard. Too sweet peace. Good night, everybody. Happy 4th.